International Trust Delhi.
Check. Good morning, नमस्ते, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल, खुशामदीद और मैं आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं, मैं आप सभी का अभिनंदन करता हूं आज के नेशनल कॉन्क्लेव ऑन ऑटिज्म स्पेक्ट्रम डिसऑर्डर and this is hosted by the National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, Intellectual and Multiple Disability. And this will be a very good thing. और मैं यही एक आशा करता हूँ कि जब आज आप जितने भी विशेषज्ञ हैं, जितने भी एक्सपर्ट हैं, जितने भी रिसोर्स पर्सन हैं, उनकी बात को सुनेंगे, उनकी अंतर्दृष्टि को साझा करेंगे, तो आज के इस सामूहिक ज्ञान का महत्व आपको पता चलेगा. On behalf of National Trust, I, Dr. Alok, am delighted to welcome you everyone once again. And today it is very much meaningful day, and Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Department of डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटी दिव्यांगजन, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड एम्पावरमेंट के सेक्रेटरी साहब हमारे बीच उपस्थित हैं। हम आप सभी से आग्रह करेंगे कि उनका जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करें। हमारे बीच आज नेशनल ट्रस्ट के जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी एंड सीईओ साहब हैं, उनका भी स्वागत है। मैं सभी गण्यमान अतिथि से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो आगे आए और दीप प्रज्वलित करें। मैं बोर्ड मेंबर से भी आग्रह करूंगा कि प्लीज कम फॉरवर्ड एंड हमारे दीप प्रज्वलित करें। डॉक्टर सिफाली कहते हैं कि शुभं करोति कल्याणम आरोग्यं धन संपदा शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीपकाय नमस्तुते। दीपो ज्योति परं ब्रह्मा दीपो ज्योति जनार्दन दीपो हर्तु मे पापं संध्या दीप नमस्तुते ते। जो शुभ करता है, जो कल्याण करता है, जो आरोग्य रखता है, धन संपदा देता है, जलाना हमारी संस्कृति है और दीप जलाना भारत की अत्यंत प्राचीन और अनादि वैदिक परंपरा है और यह अत्यंत विशेष भी है। तो आज का यह कार्यक्रम विशेष हो। मैं जितने भी हमारे गण्यमान अतिथि थे उनको दीप जलाकर कार्यक्रम के शुभारंभ करने के लिए मैं बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ, उनकी प्रशंसा करता हूँ और इन्हीं प्रशंसा के साथ हम कार्यक्रम का शुरुआत करते हैं। मैं आपको राष्ट्रीय न्यास के बारे में बताना चाहूँगा कि राष्ट्रीय न्यास was passed with the understanding how important it is to provide safety and security for those having autism, cerebral palsy, and intellectual and multiple disability. A sense of assurance that family members and guardians can ensure their loved one is looked after in challenging time. राष्ट्रीय न्यास अधिनियम को इस समझ के साथ पारित किया गया था कि ऑटिज्म, सेरेब्रल पॉल्सी और बौद्धिक और बहुदिव्यांगता के साथ रहने वाले लोगों को संरक्षण और सुरक्षा प्रदान करे और यह एक आश्वासन की भावना है और यह सुनिश्चित करता है कि चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में कैसे हम प्रियजन की देखभाल करते हैं। तो आज का जो हमारे पास वेलकम सॉन्ग है और उसके लिए मैं आग्रह करूंगा कि जो मनोविकास के छात्र यहाँ पर उपस्थित हैं वो स्टेज पर आए। और मैं यहाँ पर कहना चाहूँगा कि जब आप अपने जीवन को देखते हैं तो खुशी का सबसे शानदार एहसास है जब हमारे परिवार के लोग खुश होते हैं। तो यही एक राष्ट्रीय न्यास की भावना है, यही एक उद्देश्य है कि कैसे परिवारजन कैसे एक गारंटी देता है कि कैसे इन व्यक्तियों की देखभाल हो, कैसे उनकी जवाबदेही को हम गंभीरता से लें। और मैं राष्ट्रीय न्यास के नेटवर्क के बारे में बताना चाहूँगा कि अभी करीब 445 लोकल लेवल कमिटीज़ हैं सभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में और अक्रॉस द इंडिया हैं, इंक्लूडिंग जम्मू एंड कश्मीर है। और रफली 600 के करीब रजिस्टर्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं और 27 स्टेट नोडल एजेंसी सेंटर है ऑपरेटिंग इन वेरियस स्टेट, और राष्ट्रीय न्यास अभी करीब 2000 दिव्यांगजनों तक पहुंच पा रहा है. So we ask you to join us for this national conclave on the autism spectrum disorder, which will be commenced today, and be a part of this significant event. And you will find out कि हमारा जो एक सोच है, हमारी जो एक समझ है दिव्यांगजनों के लिए और खास करके ऑटिस्टिक पर्सन्स के लिए, उसके बारे में हम और भी चीज़ देखेंगे. तो मैं आग्रह करूँगा अपने छात्रों से कि वो स्टेज पर आएँ. और मैं आपके सूचनार्थ एक चीज़ और बताना चाहूँगा कि राष्ट्रीय न्यास का ऑफिस जो है कि वह इसी बिल्डिंग में है और सेक्टर 10 द्वारिका स्थित ये नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोशल डिफेंस की बिल्डिंग में इसी परिसर में स्थानांतरित हो गया है. तो जो लोग नए आए हैं उनके लिए ये सूचनार्थ है. मैं मनोविकास के जितने छात्र हैं आज आपको वेलकम सॉन्ग सुनाएंगे, प्रार्थना सुनाएंगे. तो आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. सूरज की गर्मी से जलते हुए तन को मिल जाए अलवर की छाया, ऐसा ही सुख मेरे मन को मिला है मैं जब से शरण तेरी आया मेरे राम. सूरज की गर्मी से जलते हुए तन को मिल जाए अलवर की छाया. छत बहारों में रहना कभी डगमगा जैसे जी भर के अमृत पिलाया पानी के प्यासे को जैसे जी भर के अमृत पिलाया ऐसा ही सुख मेरे मन को मिला है मैं जब से शरण आया मेरा सूरज की गर्मी से जलते हुए तन को मिल जाए तरवर की छाया ऐसा ही सुख मेरे मन को मिला है मैं जब से शरण तेरी आया मेरा सूरज की गर्मी से जलते हुए तन को मिल जाए तरवर की छाया बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं स्टेज पर आग्रह करूंगा कि कुर्सी टेबल को थोड़ा आगे कर दें। Once more, I am very much highly grateful for extending my greetings to everyone here at the National Conclave on Autism. As the stages are setting up, and I would like to tell you about this conclave today. And we have seen that amazing transformations in the opinion towards those dealing with neurodiversity in India. Laws manage diversity, inclusion, capability, universalization, and accessibility. We have been following the effects of education, skill development, and economic rehabilitation among the persons with autism. These days, the outstanding reasonable accommodation and facilities are allowed by CBSE, NIOS, and other state board during the examination, and it becomes easy to attend the special needs children, including them in the examination and passing the examination, the schools. This year we have explored the renowned universities, about 143 universities and colleges, and where we found that about 342 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are going into the college and higher education. And including Delhi University, we have found about 130 students are attending the higher education. Those are the people with intellectual and developmental disability. So even the employment options are also coming up. And I remember that when in 2010, when the NSQF was started, we had started the community college for the people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Then about 35 students were passed, और वो 35 लोगों को हम लोग जब जॉब के लिए जाते थे तो we had some some hesitations from the employers कि नहीं कैसे काम करेंगे. But today I can tell you that we have the lot of request from the employers कि हमें persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities चाहिए हमारे काम के लिए. So the things are changing. And I would also like to tell you that this conclave is the continuing rehabilitation education, CRE, approved by the Rehabilitation Council of India. So once again, I welcome our dignitaries here, and I would like to request our secretary sir to please come into dash, please. Welcome you, sir. And I also like to request our Joint Secretary and CEO, sir, K.R. Basudevan, sir, please come into the dais. I would like to request the board member, Guru Iqbal Singh Bedi, sir, Dr. Ashish Kumar, Ruvi Singh Mohan Kumar, Dr. Sapan Jaswanta Singh, please come into the dais. Once again, I'm very much grateful for extending my greetings to everyone here. And now I am very much, the overwhelmed and joyous to see our Dr. Sri Rajesh Agarwal sir, Chairperson and Secretary of the Chairperson National Trust and Secretary of the Department of Empowerment for the Persons with Disability. So have a big round of applause for welcoming him. And I would like to request the Afrin to present the flower gift to the Secretary, sir. And we welcome our guest of honor or distinct guest, Sri Vaidishwaran sir, Joint Secretary and CEO on behalf of National Trust. And he is a very noble gentleman, and his presence is very much gracious for us. And I would like to request Shahil from Manovikas that to present the flower gift, the flower pot to the Joint Secretary and CEO, sir. I would like to request Afrin to present the flower pot to Dr. Ashish Kumar, sir, Board Member, National Trust. I would like to request Kaka to present the flower pot to Guru Iqbal Singh Bedi, sir. I request Raghav Kaka first and Guru Iqbal Singh, sir. And Raghav, please present the flower pot to Ruby Madam. She is the board member of the National Trust. Keshav, please present the flower pot to Mohan Kumar, sir, board member, National Trust. And Sambhav, please present the flower pot to Dr. Sapan Jaswanta Singh, sir. And I also sincerely welcome, we have the self-advocates, Alina, Banasthita, Anubhav, Anulekha, Elixir, Hita, Jyotsna, Ritika, Meen, Tarun from the group, the people with autism, they are running the self-advocacy group. We welcome you all, and again we welcome you everyone here, present here. And before I request our Joint Secretary and CEO, sir, to come and give you the welcome notes, let me introduce about the Conclave. So this is the summary of this National Conclave on the Autism program, and this is we have the 5 sessions, and we have about 13 experts from the various background, such as from the medical, science, research. Some are the founder members of the society, the founder members of NGO, the parents, psychologists, and self-advocates. Every session is very much informative, ICO, and then it will be the productive, and we will have a lot of presentations and panel discussions, and definitely you will have the chance to ask the questions to the our expert. And we have the topic like role of technology, the breaking skills for the parents, understanding about the autism, the challenges, the results related to the RPDWD Act regarding the schooling implementation of education. We have also been talking about the lifespan approach for the people with autism and their family. It will be very much helpful for everyone he present here. Our speakers are come from the renowned institutions and they have the huge experience. We have the expert from the AIMS. We have Dr. Sifali Gulati, Dr. Gagan Hans, Professor Manju Mehta, Madam Mary Barwa is here, Dr. Nidhi Singhal is here from the Action for Autism, Colonel Dr. Aparajita Gupta from the Army Hospital, RR Research and Referral Hospital, Dr. Meena Chandra from RML Hospital, Dr. Nipun Malhotra from Nipman Foundation, and we have some self-advocates from they use the typing as a communication tools, the Tarun Paul Matthew, who is the self-advocates, and we have the Dr. Rajiv Nandi from Srishti Parents Group, and we have the very senior psychiatrist, the former director of IBHAS, Dr. Nimeshji Desai. He is the president of Manovikas Charitable Society also. We have Rakshita Shekhar, who is the self-advocate as well as the Purple Ambassador. So our esteemed guest, Mr. K.R. Basudeva Vedishwaran sir is here, Joint Secretary and CEO Office, Executive Officer of National Trust. We welcome you here, sir. Please give your welcome address.
Namaskar. Respected Secretary Divyangjan Shaktigaran Vibhag and Chairperson National Trust, members of the Board of the National Trust, experts, resource persons, professionals and panelists who have accepted our invitation to this conclave, CRE professionals, NGOs, registered organizations, parents, performing artists, other participants, invitees, media personnel, officers of the Divyangjan Shaktigaran Vibhag and National Trust. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this National Conclave on Autism, organized by the National Trust. This is the first of its an event of first of its kind in recent times. In the last several months, under the dynamic leadership of Secretary DEPWD, we have been the department and various agencies under the department, including the National Trust, have been undertaking a number of measures for welfare of the entire spectrum of the Divyangjan community, touching almost all segments and activities which are wide-ranging. And this event, this National Conclave, is being organized under his instructions with the participation of experts in the field who are leading professionals in their spheres. Number of measures, as I said, have been undertaken with a view to create a support and enabling environment and to showcase their skills. With the approval of the Rehabilitation Council of India, we have made this into a CRE event, and a number of CRE professionals are also participating in this. We have also scheduled 2 panel discussions, one in the forenoon and other in the afternoon, on very important topics. Various professionals and resource persons will be participating. Purple ambassadors are also here at our invitation. So we look forward to a vigorous and active participation and interaction from all the participants, and hope that this conclave will be very useful and will form a model for future such events. Thank you.
Lots of appreciation, sir, and sincere thanks for welcoming the guest and giving you the introduction about the conclave. So we have with us the sign language interpreter. अभी हम शुरू में ही पहले इनका हौसला अफजाई कर दें तालियों के साथ. We have the sign language interpreter Dharna, Stuti, then Anushka. Thank you for joining us today. And we have now today, we are very much honored and to welcome our esteemed chief guest at this prestigious National Conclave on Autism. We are fortunate to have Sri Rajesh Agarwal sir, IAS, Secretary, DEPWD, and Chairperson of the National Trust joining us. So thank you for joining us. Indeed, you need a very little introduction, as your work in the health sector, the skill sector, the disability sector, the social sector has been highly appreciated and praised by all across the country. So you are someone who has the vision and distinct endless source of inspiration for everyone. Therefore, thank you for your tremendous efforts for the disability sector in India, and we warmly welcome you for your address, sir. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome our chief guest for his speech.
Yeah, good morning, friends. I joined this department about 8 months ago, and frankly, this sector was very new to me. And though I had spent about 33 years of service in IAS, worked in various places in Maharashtra as well as various ministries in Government of India, but this was a new sector. So I looked at it from totally fresh perspective and as a learner's perspective. So I talked to a lot of people working in this field, a lot of NGOs, a lot of philanthropists, a lot of experts, a lot of parent associations, a lot of achievers, met a lot of people, went around the country, and I found that this sector has a lot of dedicated individuals and professionals who have totally dedicated their lives to their family members and much beyond family members to a lot of people in the society. And now I have been trying to activate all the associations of DPWD, whether it's National Trust, whether it is RCI, whether it's LIMCO, whether 9 national institutes and 30 odd CRCs, so that all of us, all of these organizations work in synergy with each other. For example, today's event is sort of collaboration between National Trust and RCI. And we are also utilizing this building of NISD, which is our parent ministry, social justice. So this building was quite underutilized. So since 2 months, we have only our CCPD office was there. So we have shifted National Trust office from a private building in Krolbach to this building, which is actually very Divyang friendly building. All the rooms, all the conference rooms, the canteen, the toilets, all the parking area. So this is one of the most accessible buildings in Delhi, and I have told RCI to practically book the conference rooms and the 12 guest rooms throughout the year and for next 1 year. And I see a lot of professionals here who will also get CRE points. I hope you have gone through recent initiatives of RCI also. We have changed CRR guidelines, we have changed CRE guidelines, we have changed exam guidelines, we have changed the methodology of inspections. Right now about 200 inspections have been done totally video based, where 7 teams of experts are sitting in RCI. They are not going physically to the institutes for inspection. The institute owner actually goes around with a mobile phone and shows everything on video. So this has dramatically changed the whole game of inspections in RCI. The expert committees in RCI, and I was talking to a conference yesterday also. So one mantra I have learned in last 8 months is the slogan, nothing about us without us. So in DPWD, if in any meeting I don't see persons with disabilities represented, I postpone those meetings. In RCI, our expert committees, they had wonderful experts, but they did not have all the stakeholders. They did not have parents of persons with disabilities. They did not have actually persons with disabilities who have gone through the schooling system and achieved something. And so in March, we terminated all the expert committees of RCI. We reconstituted them. And last week we had meetings here of 4 expert groups. And each expert group had experts, our CRR professionals and personnel, and some parent associations were involved, and persons with disabilities were involved, so that because they are the right persons. If a student who is blind has gone through the whole schooling system in a blind school or an inclusive school, done the university, then done something in life, that boy or girl is probably the best to tell us कि आपका special educators का जो course होना चाहिए वो ऐसा होना चाहिए. They will tell us that कि मुझे टीचर ने ये बहुत अच्छा सिखाया इसलिए मैं बड़ा आदमी बना, या ये नहीं सिखाया, ये टेक्नोलॉजी सिखाई होती मुझे और इजी रहता. And we are getting employers also. So employers tell कि जब ये बच्चा पढ़ के आता है तो ये हमें कमी दिखती है कि आप ये चीज़ कराते हैं, ये सिखाते हैं, चाहे वो वोकेशनल हो, चाहे स्कूल सिस्टम हो, चाहे यूनिवर्सिटी सिस्टम हो. सो एम्प्लॉयर्स टेल अस कि आप अपने बच्चों को ये सिखा के भेजिए तो दे विल बी बेटर एम्प्लॉयज़. हमें ट्रेनिंग कम करनी पड़ेगी, ज़ीरो से शुरू नहीं करना पड़ेगा. सो वी गॉट एम्प्लॉयर्स ऑल्सो. अगर प्रोस्थेटिक्स का कोर्स है तो वी इन्वॉल्व मैन्युफैक्चरर्स ऑल्सो इन अवर एक्सपर्ट कमेटी मीटिंग्स. सो अवर syllabi वी आर in practically today evening or tomorrow you will see the new syllabi for next coming year from August, and that will be on the RCA website. So please go through RCA website. So almost everything is new now. All guidelines have undergone a change. Similarly, National Trust, we are trying to change stuff. So all the board members are here. Yesterday also we took a few calls, but frankly the transformation in National Trust is yet to take off. But in RCI we have changed a lot of places, a lot of things. Then the services and products should be available easily to people. In our country, it is said that about 1/3 people have disabilities in the people with disabilities, 1/3 have disabilities at childbirth, at the birth stage. 1/3 acquire it during the lifetime. You can have an accident, you can have an infection, take many antibiotics, you can have deafness due to that or other problems. You can have something due to diabetes, or 1/3 are due to old age. So that is broad scenario. So early intervention becomes very, very important. So that is one aspect which all our personnel and professional and all our courses, they have to emphasize on. And we need to have more and more early intervention centers across the country. So whether it's through health department, through Rashtriya Swasthya Yojana, or through our SEDIC centers, or through state government schemes, that is one. Second, assistive technologies, whether it is clutches or wheelchairs or motorized tricycles or magnifiers or white canes or vibrating cane or tactile books or hearing aids or cochlear implants or any other devices. WHO estimates that hardly, they say that 1 billion people in the world need assistive technologies, 1.5 billion people need spectacles, and hardly 10% people across the world get these things. 10%. So Indian figures could be worse in some states and better in some states. And they attribute it to 3 A's: awareness, accessibility, and affordability. Awareness, so that's why early intervention centers, parent associations, so that parents are aware what to do, how to get the things. Doctors are aware that what kind of tests are required at prenatal and neonatal stages. For example, Kerala has a very good neonatal testing for hearing, and also they get into cochlear implants much more earlier than other states. And then awareness, when something happens, awareness of that. I meet a lot of people in LIMCO centers who are getting artificial limbs, and when I talk to them कि क्या हुआ बेटा, वो कहते सर 5 साल पहले एक्सीडेंट हो गया रेलवे से, टांग कट गई. फिर पूछते अभी क्यों आया सर, पता अभी चला कि आर्टिफिशियल टांग भी लगती है, हमें पता ही नहीं था, 5 साल बाद पता चला. सो दैट इज़ अ अवेयरनेस पार्ट. सेकेंड इज एक्सेसिबिलिटी. आपको पता भी है तो आपके घर के पास 20 किलोमीटर पे, 50 किलोमीटर पे वो सर्विस या सुविधा या प्रोडक्ट अवेलेबल है क्या? I found that LIMCO had only 5 fitment centers in the country. So we have started a reckless expansion of LIMCO centers. Today I have 40 centers. By March end we will have 100 centers. And we are mapping them कि किसी को भी हो तो within 100 kilometers आप चल के जाओ, बस में बैठ के जाओ, आपको वो सुविधा मिल जाए और हाथों हाथ मिले. जयपुर फूड का क्या है कि आप सुबह जाते हो, शाम को टांग लगा के आ जाते हो. हमारे पास कई बार होता है कि आदमी आया, हमने मेजरमेंट ले लिया प्रोस्थेटिक्स वाले ने, पर फिर कहते हैं आप कैंप की वेट करो, 4 महीने बाद कैंप लगेगा, 5 महीने बाद लगेगा. तो हाथों हाथ होना चाहिए, उसी दिन शाम को मिलना चाहिए, नेक्स्ट डे मिलना चाहिए. So this actually spurred us to set up LIMCO centers. Today we have 40. By March end we will have 100. पहले 5 थे 3 महीने पहले तक. So accessibility has to be there. और इन्हीं सेंटर्स पे सब कुछ मिलेगा. CP की चेयर मिलेगी, स्पेक्टिकल्स मिलेगा, आपको व्हील चेयर मिलेगा, सब कुछ मिलेगा और हाथों हाथ मिलेगा. और if you are not part of EDIP scheme, you will be able to purchase it. So LIMCO will be selling things also at all these centers. And third is affordability. आपको पता भी है, आपके पास में वो चीज़ भी मिलती है, अफोर्डेबल होना चाहिए. इसीलिए हम मेड इन इंडिया पे के पीछे लगे हुए हैं, एंड मेड इन इंडिया फॉर एवरीथिंग. जिसमें डॉक्टर शेफाली गुलाटी वगैरह है, मैं इनके पीछे भी लगा रहता हूँ कि आपके अभी जो इंडिया में टेस्ट्स हैं, जैसे IQ टेस्ट ही है, BKT है, पुराने वाला 60 साल पुराना टेस्ट है, और या बेसिक टेस्ट है, बट वॉट इंडियन टेस्ट. डिसलेक्सिया है तो अपने इंग्लिश टेस्ट का क्या फ़ायदा अगर पेरेंट्स को लेटर से सिर्फ तमिल आती है और या बंगाली आती है, पंजाबी आती है, टीचर को भी और बच्चे को भी, तो उसमें इंग्लिश टेस्ट का कोई फ़ायदा ही नहीं है. सो टेस्ट हैव टू बी डिज़ाइंड फॉर इंडिया, मेड इन इंडिया, विद IP इन इंडिया. सेम थिंग फॉर प्रोडक्ट्स. जितने असिस्टिव टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं, मेड इन इंडिया होना चाहिए, और अफोर्डेबिलिटी उसी से बढ़ेगी. लकीली फॉर एग्जांपल वी हैव गुड MOUs. फॉर एग्जांपल प्रोस्थेटिक्स में जो चीज़ हम फ्री में लगाते हैं, वही जो एडिप स्कीम में कवर नहीं होता आर्टिफिशियल लिम्ब में, उसको 1.5 लाख का बाहर मिलता है, ऑटोबॉक्स जर्मनी का. इतना फ़र्क है. हम 1.5 लाख वाला प्रोडक्ट फ्री में दे रहे हैं, हम शैबी प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं दे रहे. अभी जो LIMCO की फैक्ट्री है, उसमें सारी व्हीलचेयर रोबोटिक वेल्डिंग से बन रही हैं, क्रोम प्लेटिंग सारा ऑटोमेटिक हो रहा है. सो द प्रोडक्ट क्वालिटी वी आर रियली फोकसिंग ऑन, एब्सोल्युटली. इस छोटे बच्चों के लिए वी हैव डन नाउ मिडल साइज व्हील चेयर्स with multiple colors, green color, red color, very neon bright colors for kids. So the products for persons with disabilities have to be good, beautiful looking, universally designed and well designed, robust. जैसे हम नॉर्मल बैटरी से लिथियम बैटरी की तरफ जा रहे हैं, ताकि आपका 6 महीने में व्हीलचेयर खराब ना हो, मोटराइज्ड 2 साल तक आराम से टिके. लिथियम कैन हैव 800 cycles of recharging and so on. So awareness, accessibility, affordability, and this is important for all 21 kind of disabilities. Lastly, जो आज का event है, it's in a series of events. I believe we are scaling up our events at least 10x. Plan is to scale up at least 50x. So we are working with lot of partners. For example, 18th May was Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So we had events at 80 plus places in the country. Some of which were CRE events, some were non-CRE events. And we are mixing up a lot of events. For example, in this we have people getting CRE points and other people also. In webinars, we now easily have 1,000 people, so we will start webinars with 10,000 capacity also. And we will have everyone. We will have professionals getting CRE points, we will have parents, we will have persons with disabilities, and anyone will be able to join. Those who can get CRE points, they'll get CRE points. And if you read through our CRE guidelines, we are now going to give pre-CRE points also. So those students who will become professional personnel in future, students with diploma, certificates and degrees, while studying, they can earn pre-CRE points. When they get the degree or diploma, these points will convert into actual CRE points. And for example, Niramya scheme of National Trust. I would love if our students and some special educators are also here. So if your students do 20 or 25 Niramya enrollments, probably we will give them 1 or 2 CRE points. Similarly, if your students do 20-25 UDID enrollments, we'll give 1 or 2 pre-CRE points and so on. So they will get involved in government schemes and meaningful government schemes right from the beginning. So I will stop here because I believe that such programs should basically focus on actual content and talking to experts, then consuming that information, asking a lot of meaningful questions, and doing that attentively. So today also in webinars we have now started using Slido. कि webinar में अगर आपने लैपटॉप ऑन करके इधर उधर गायब हो गए तो हम अचानक से सवाल दे देते हैं स्लाइडों पे, सिर्फ 20 सेकंड देते हैं, मिस हो गया तो आपका मिस हो जाता है. फिर वेबिनार ख़त्म होने पे हम कहते हैं कि थैंक यू फॉर योर पार्टिसिपेशन, पर आपके क्वेश्चन ठीक नहीं थे तो आपको CRE पॉइंट नहीं मिलेगा. आपके क्वेश्चन ठीक कर लिए, 70% ठीक कर लिए तो हो जाएगा. तो आई एम श्योर आज भी आपको बीच बीच में कुछ ऐसे सरप्राइज मिल जाएगा, तो इसलिए बीच बीच में भागना नहीं है जिसको भी CRE पॉइंट लेने हैं. So you have to do it attentively. And thank you so much. One more point. Yes. Yeah, one more point. Since I am a teacher's son, so I have taken a teacher-friendly decision. कि RCI will, over next 1 year, I guess we have about 4,000 to 5,000 faculty of our 900 RCI affiliated colleges. जिसमें about 500 to 600 have some special schools affiliated with them, उसकी faculty है. So faculty of colleges and special schools, 5-day residential training free of cost. सिर्फ आने जाने का खर्चा आपको bear करना पड़ेगा. So that we are making almost compulsory for everyone. तो इंडिया में काफ़ी जगह शुरू कर रहे हैं. Yesterday we had RCI meeting, so we have finalized the list of cities. लखनऊ, जयपुर और इसी बिल्डिंग में पहले शुरू कर रहे हैं. पर बाकी जगह भी will cover lot of cities by December and or so. So all the professionals who are faculty of our RCA colleges and special schools, so they should be attending these 5-day programs. So it's a optional. Residential आप चाहते हो residential free में मिलेगा, आपने सुबह आके शाम को जाना है, उसी सिटी में हो रहा है, so it's your choice and you don't have to pay anything, you earn 30 points. And क्योंकि हम syllabus change कर रहे हैं and teacher training is very very important in my view, and so teacher training we treat it as national building exercise, so government is happy to spend on that. Thank you so much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर. आपने चेंज, इनोवेशन और डेवलपमेंट तीनों को ही बड़े अच्छे से शामिल किया है और RCIs के जो चेंजेस हैं that will be definitely it will come up with a good result. And I was observing your speech that you have covered everything, the medical model of rehabilitation, social model of rehabilitation, and the right-based model of rehabilitation. So thank you very much for your innovative speech. And the A3 mantra, we can take it today as a awareness of accessibility and affordability. So thank you very much, sir, for giving your thoughts, and thank you everyone here. And we will close this our inaugural session. So we request our dignitaries to come into the front seat, please. Without taking any time, we will start the session 1, and this session is role of technology in autism spectrum disorder. The introduction of modern technology has granted the individuals with autism a great scope for social integration, starting with their schooling, and college and everywhere. In addition, having the capacity to avail the assistive technology, provide the avenues to the general education classroom, and the chance to spare essential attitudinal change. सो हम आधुनिक तकनीक के बारे में बात करते हैं और उसकी शुरुआत से, उसके व्यवहार से, उसके यूज़ से ऑटिस्टिक व्यक्तियों को उनके स्कूल शिक्षा में, उनके सामाजिक समावेशन में बहुत बड़ा अवसर मिला है। और हम देखते हैं कि जो प्रौद्योगिकी है, जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, उसका लाभ उठाने के लिए हमारे जो ऑटिस्टिक पर्सन है उनकी अभिरुचि भी बढ़ रही है, उनके इंटरेस्ट भी बढ़ रहे हैं और वो अपने अधिकारों को भी जानना प्रारंभ किया है। सो टुडे वी हैव द एक्सपर्ट डॉक्टर शिफाली गुलाटी मैम, सो प्लीज वेलकम मैम। शी इज द प्रोफेसर एंड हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पीडियाट्रिक्स एट एम्स इन दिल्ली and is an expert in developmental disabilities such as autism, cerebral palsy. To date, she has been involved in 210 research papers, research publications which have been appeared in the both international as well as the domestic journals. Furthermore, Dr. Gulati has edited a book and contributed to the 66 separate chapters for others. So we greetings you and we are happy to have you here, ma'am, for your special session focused on the role of technology in autism spectrum disorder. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Alok. Thank all the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts and the work which we as a team have been doing for last 25 years. Can I put my slides on myself? Yeah. Can
I take you?
Yeah, please do that.
We have one self-advocate, Mr. Tarun, and he wants to present something to our secretary, sir. You can start.
Yeah, no, first that's important. We have to give respect, and as very rightly said by Secretary Sir, the parent and self-advocates have to be part of it. Nobody can take a decision of what I want. Actually, we think from a medical point of view, what the parent has gone through and the child has gone through. Their perspective has to be kept in mind. Sir, I would like to share that in DBT we are having a consortium for research, which we have all parent advocates there. Mary is there as a part of a consortium. Should I start? Yeah, no problem. Thanks. So we'll talk about what is autism spectrum disorder and what is the role of technology and what, as rightly sir said, talk about things which are make in India, for India, and have the parent as well as self-advocates party to whatever we are doing. I have no disclosures and dedicate this presentation to all the persons with special needs and their families. So we have to understand what these neurodevelopmental disorders are. I'll be very briefly in the next first 5-7 minutes talk about that and what is autism spectrum disorder prevalence, the biology, holistic evaluation management, which is important, and how technology is coming up in a big way and how COVID-19 has touched us whether positively or negatively, and the UN theme for this year. Neurodevelopmental disorders, as very rightly as Secretary Sir had mentioned, that we have to look beyond the medical model, and it is important for all of us to together, we may be doctors, we may be allied professionals, but we all are professionals, have to think about the capability approach of an individual. You have to not say what the child person cannot do, but what the person can do. And why suddenly the government has become interested over the last few years? Because in this sector, most of the initiation of every activity was parent-driven, and the various non-governmental organizations with parents had established in the last 4 decades, and starting with Mary, starting in her AFA long back. But now what has happened that, your under 5 mortality rate of these children are going down because you have so much intensive care, so many good treatments are there. You have 6 newborn units for all the, deliveries across India. So smaller children are surviving. Those who would have died are now surviving. So we have to look at basically the paradigm shift from improving survival to upcoming challenges of neurodevelopment. And the only representative sample which we have, the study which we did was the Incline study, in which I was the network coordinator, funded by NIH, USA, Autism Speaks, and National Trust, and in which we found by a representative technique of population proportionate by size sampling, we had focused on 2 to 9 years, and we found 1 or more neurodevelopmental disorders in 12%, out of which 21.8%, that means 1/5 had more than one condition. So it is very important for every time a child to have gone through a clinician who would have assessed the child and seen holistically, because 1/5 of them have more than one. And actually in 2011, we had collected this data from the Henkal district of Orissa as tribal, from Hyderabad as urban, as we had coastal as Goa, then Palwal as rural, and Kangra as hilly. And in that year, we had also census of the year from India. And in the census, according to the census, we had 176 million children that year in 2 to 9 years. So the extrapolated version came as 23.7 children. So if you extrapolate across a lifespan, understand how many persons with this neurodevelopmental problem would be there. And the risk factors were also studied. Coming to autism, 1 in 89 children were estimated to have autism spectrum disorder in that Incline study. And mind you, this was the data collected in 2011. It's no problem. Data was collected in 2011. Technology fails you. Yeah, technology always has a double-edged sword. You have to be, yeah. So it was 1 in 89, but I'm just wanting to remind you that the data was collected in 2011. So autism spectrum disorder, starting from this being discovered in the 1943s, and initially it was said that it is the mom which is the problem, refrigerator mom, and they were giving treatment to the mother, not the child. But later on, this concept of pervasive developmental disorder came up in the 80s. And the prevalence in 2007 was 1 in 155, and now it is, according to on 24th March 2023, it is 1 in 36. In USA, according to the CDC report. And our study, I said 1 in 89 was in 2011. Boys are 4.5 times more affected than girls. And those children who are okay in cognition and have hyperactivity, maybe missed, they may be labeled as ID, or they may be labeled as having only hyperactivity. And studies in the West have shown 40% children to have some cognitive impairment. So as I mentioned to you, see, the prevalence is rising in the last so many years, and this is a genuine rise. It is not only because of increased awareness. When you take all the conditions in which you could have mixed with autism earlier, if you take ID, speech and language disorders, and hearing impairments, along with the autism pre-1990s to post-1990s in the US, they have shown there is a dramatic increase. WHO did a global prevalence estimate of 1 in 100 globally, which was published last year in January. So CDC I mentioned to you, and also other studies in which they have pooled estimates are also showing 1 in 100. So it is not that one of the studies is saying there is a genuine increase and there is a prevalence, and they have shown that it is males have higher prevalence, and prevalence is more in developing countries. They have found 155 per 10,000. That means so it is going to be, and then 85 per 10,000 in developed countries. And this is the last figure of 24th March 2023 showing 1 in 36. So it is increasing, a genuine increase. So we have to understand the number of persons who are going to be having this, which we have to handle. And it has social communication and interaction deficits, and it has restricted repetitive patterns of behaviors and interests, along with some sensory issues. Along with it, they may have different cognitive abilities, different language skill, and limited, their different support requirements. And you may also have a lot of comorbidities, which I mentioned to you. 1/5 of them had comorbidities, so you had to have the child evaluated by preferably a pediatric neurologist, if not otherwise a development pediatrician. But it requires, because epilepsy, ADHD, sleep disturbances, GI disturbances, anxiety, any other genetic conditions, which I'll be showing you some pictures, depression, motor problems, and all can be there. There are lots of, it's still an enigma what is causing autism. So this is not to confuse you, just want to tell you that everybody is still confused what it is causing. They're talking about the neurotransmitter level, you may talk about, you see that there are some genetic factors, but it's not clear that what are the exact genetic factors. There are some environmental factors which have been associated. It has been shown as not only the mother's age, but father's advanced age, some viral infections can be there. And sometimes some environment factors affect the gene expression. They are the epigenetic factors, and I think that's the maximum where we as researchers have to act on, as is epigenetic factors which may give you some treatment options and intervention targets in the near future. The technology has to work on identify the environmental factors which are affecting the gene expression. What genetically you have, you won't be able to change, but the gene expression can be changed. So they may be possible therapeutic intervention targets technologically. If you see in the monozygotic twins, you have a concordance about 60 to 90%. And if you see, it has a multifactorial inheritance, and when you take a pooled estimate, see, autism is 4.5 times commoner in boys and girls. But if a girl has autism in the family, the recurrence risk in the next pregnancy is 7%. And if a boy has it, it is a recurrence risk is 4%. But if they have already a second child of autism is there, the recurrence risk is 25 to 35%. And there are certain families, who have more than one affected sibs. And very interestingly, 17 to 20% of families have people with some personality or behavior problems, and they may not have anything labeled or diagnosed. So still it is a quite confusion. This is what we can act on. Environmental factors. There's a lot of associations only have been studied. See, you keep talking about air pollution. It will be talked about post-Diwali. Now, maternal exposure to air pollution has been shown to increase autism. Use of pesticides. All our food and, all our vegetables and fruits are contaminated with pesticides. They have been shown to be associated with autism. Maternal drugs intake like valproate and also certain, folate deficiency have been shown to be associated with autism. And there is something which is interesting, a gut-brain axis. In this, just want you to understand that there is, there's a casein and gluten get broken into the small peptides in gut, and then it goes. So there is some permeability issues, blood-brain barrier issue, microbiota dysbiosis issue, immune dysfunction. So there is a gut-brain axis which has to be addressed, and it is a lot of research going on, which will give possibly therapeutic intervention targets. As I mentioned to you, 1/5 have comorbidity, so you need to have a holistic evaluation. You have to diagnose is clinical, but you have to rule out mimics. You have to know all that which looks autism may not be autism. In one case, you have to refer the patient because you may have some other specific things. And the management just principles. You can identify autism, even suspect in the first year of life. If a child is not responding to name at 6 months, and that time also you can start suspecting. But American Academy of Pediatrics and Indian Academy of Pediatrics say that at 18 and 24 months, you have to specifically look for autism screen in all children. And now we have a DSM-5 criteria since May 2013, which says it's autism spectrum disorder or no autism spectrum disorder, and all the PDD, Asperger, etc. is out. And one thing is that there may be a misdiagnosis as well as a missed diagnosis, and you may have some mimics. There's specific seizure disorders. You have encephalopathy with status epilepticus in sleep, some autoimmune conditions, and some behavioral problems, some drug-related problems. And the only reason for mentioning this epileptic encephalopathy with status epilepticus in sleep, because in that, if you do an awake EEG in a child, it is going to be normal. In a sleep EEG, you're going to have really bad picture. So we need to understand understand that if you're suspecting anybody with something having a recent onset of regression, you would like to have a sleep EEG for this child because you may need immunotherapy. This is not to confuse you, just trying to tell you that you have a spectrum of this. If a child classically in autism, you have a regression of milestones around 18 to 24 months. If you're having regression a little bit later, and then you would really like to understand and get the sleep EEG done. We have this DSM-5 criteria for diagnosing autism spectrum disorders, and 2-3 things have happened in the DSM-5. They've added the sensory things, they've joined the social interaction communication in one domain, added the sensory things to the repetitive behaviors and fixed interest ones. Also, they have removed the less than 3 years, so you can have early developmental period, you can diagnose even early, you can suspect early. And other thing is they have specifiers, that means comorbidities can be mentioned. You may have autism spectrum disorder with intellectual disability, you may have autism spectrum disorder with ADHD, and the level of support giving the severity requirements. So these all things have come as a new in this, and there are specific guidelines of American Academy of Pediatrics and Indian Academy of Pediatrics for diagnosing and management autism spectrum disorders. Just wanted you to know that when you see a child, you may have, sometimes the Duchenne muscle dystrophies who have calf hypertrophy, have problem in walking, Down syndrome, everybody knows. And also tuberous sclerosis, you have some lesions on the face, like you have like acne, and you may have some lesions in the brain and have seizures, fragile legs, neurofibromatosis when you have brown lesions. All of them have been shown to be, these are all genetic conditions, have to be known to be associated more with autism. So you have to be very careful when you're having, as a doctor, if you're seeing these patients, you have to be very careful. And if you're seeing such lesions when a child is coming to a therapist, they should be sending to a doctor. So you have to look for the comorbidities and assess. And we recently analyzed 1,872 autism children and found that 80% had comorbidities, not 20% as was in the prevalence study. We found in the hospital, tertiary care hospital, out of 1,872 patients, around 1,500 had comorbidities, and the commonest was attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And epilepsy is also something common, and this is a debate going on whether sometimes you may not having seizure, people get with EEG with the discharges, whether you will be liking to treat them or not. These are things going on that if you treat, that they're going to be better off intellectually. Sleep problems we don't ask. It is very important. There is a sleep onset latency. When you put the child to sleep, the child may take a lot of time to sleep. And we have done this study in which we had found on a questionnaire based 77.5% children had a sleep problem. But when we made them sleep in the hospital, which was a very difficult, challenging for us to do, 70 children of autism, we had to make them sleep overnight over a period of 1.5 years. It was difficult, but we found everybody had a problem. And when the child goes to sleep, generally what happens is some children like bright light, some people like no light. It is, everybody has a different liking. But what happens is in Indian society, parents say, "Bacha so gaya hai," people light jala ke they will do their work of computer or TV or something. So sleep hygiene is not maintained and not talked about. If a child is having a problem in sleep, the behavior in the daytime is going to be bad. The quality of life of the child as well as the parents is going to be bad. So these things we ignore, which is very important. And obviously we have guidelines regarding genetic testing in suspect cases, metabolic testing, which I will not be going into detail, except that if you have a later onset regression of milestones, which I mentioned to you earlier, we would like to look for other causes, and this atypical neuroregression for the EEG also. Parents ask me very often, everybody asks me, is it curable? Curable means jad se nikal ke bhul jao types. It's not going to happen. It is treatable. All issues can be handled, but it's not curable. It has to have a holistic approach. You diagnose it. Diagnosis is clinical based on these questionnaires which we have, and do a detailed history and examination. Look for comorbidities, take the severity, and plan an individualized plan which we do, which is based on acquired behavior analysis and structure teaching and OT and all speech therapy. All of them has to be individualized as a case may be. But there's certain conditions, only very few conditions where you need to give medications, like in anxiety, you may have to give an epilepsy, in sleep onset latency, and these conditions may be required. I know how it is going next fast sometimes. And there are a lot of studies going on with trying various drug intervention targets. I showed you the slide. You have genetic, you have environmental, and you have genetics, which is being affected by the environment. So there are a lot of studies which are trying to see on various intervention targets. This scam is very important in autism because parents do try this complementary therapies based on having a networking. You have so many Facebook groups, you have so many groups of Telegram, WhatsApp, and one has to understand. Many parents keep coming and saying, saying, I also have created one Telegram group for my parents. They're after my life asking for camel milk, I have told there is no evidence. They're asking, is there any harm? Then they're asking me about broccoli. So, they're getting something from there. The point is they become helpless. We have to just understand this condition is going to last across the lifespan. But although you may not like the simile of being we hear that in cancer things then relapse. Please, only reason I use the term cancer is because we understand उसमें remission and relapse होता है. That's the only thing. It's no otherwise nothing. That means the cancer goes away, but there is a possibility of the problem coming up in a relapse. So if you just understanding that principle, although not calling it cancer at all, please, I'm just saying that the symptoms can become passive, and the DSM-5 says you may have now DSM-5 in remission. Means things are there, but things are passive. You handle the child so well that he is able to handle the current situation, and later on some other situation may come up in which the child may not be able to handle, so we'll have to guide in effect. So those things have to be kept in mind. And this scam, what I was mentioning is, certain things are not harmless. So we say it's okay. Or even if there's no evidence, but some things may be harmful. And other thing is that because autism is going to last across a lifespan, you can't just keep hit and try and doing. Some people, many of them come, sugar band kar diya, many gluten band kar diya, kisi ne casein band kar diya. Anecdotally they hear and do. If you want to help out, you help out in the research, participate in the research activities, and let us prove or disprove. So like natural products like vitamins, probiotics, dietary therapies. We are having RCT, we're just finishing on probiotics. So we'll be able to give you an answer soon. And dietary therapy, we're doing a gluten-free case. We write proper RCT, both of them proper randomized control trials to be able to answer. Vitamins, they are not harmless. The fat-soluble vitamins don't come out of the body. They will be there. If you're giving excess of them, they're going to cause problem. There is some problem with calcium and vitamin D. Everybody is giving so much. Now you're not only getting toxicity, calcium is going and depositing in the kidneys. So just do not give anything without consulting. That's my only plea. It becomes that parents are doing in good faith, but you should understand and please talk to the doctor which has. And this yoga and music therapy, acupuncture, they don't have any evidence. Music therapy has some evidence. We are currently doing collaboration with Indian Music Therapy Association and trying to do active and passive music therapy combination. And regarding third one, very important, hyperbaric oxygen has no role. Ayurveda, I do not know. They may be having, but I do not know. I was asked a couple of years back by the ministry to review all the Ayurveda and homeopathic, only the literature which was published only I could access. I am not qualified in that. We could not find anything fruitful. Stem cell therapy has no role as of now. In the committee from the the National Medical Commission, we have clearly mentioned that you need to do a lot of research, but in clinical practice doesn't have role. That is what even the ICMR is saying. So we have to be clear that many of these studies, the reports are not clear, so we should wait. And gluten-free casein diet, I said there is some scope, and we are doing the study. We'll be able to answer. There's also another thing coming up now. They're saying you also use the gut immune endocrine brain axis. So all this research is going, and technology will be able to individualize the diet of the individual patients. Music therapy I've already mentioned. Right now ABA evidence supports ABA and melatonin for sleep onset latency. So this evidence is there, of some, for others we are generating. The need of the hour is primary, secondary, tertiary prevention. Primary prevention to understand what's causing autism so that you can prevent it from occurring. And I think it will be important that if you, by environmental factors, you prevent if you're going to prevent the gene expression, that may be one thing which should be the game changer. Secondary is by having socio-cultural sensitive tools, and like sir very rightly pointed out, we have developed for many tools, but we had not for those two which he was telling, but we have 4 tools which we have developed socio-cultural sensitive, and in that you have to have screening and diagnostic tools to pick them up early. You need socio-cultural sensitive tool. Example, sleep questionnaire, there is a question in CSHQ, if the child is sleeping with parents, it's taken as abnormal. In the US, the child is sleeping in another room, but in our children, all are sleeping with parents, only 99%. So that is why these things, what you expect a behavior in any child in our society is different from the US. So that is why we need social culture sensitive tools. So you need tertiary prevention is using, getting novel treatment for all the early intervention and using technology. I will be next in 10-15 minutes telling you about how technology is going to have in primary, secondary as well as tertiary prevention. And early identification will need social culture sensitive tools. You need to empower the professionals and you need to empower the parents. All of them all these 4 points are very important, and technology can help in all 4 of them. Technology, so we have the screening tool. The neurodevelopment screening tool was developed by the England study. We had developed the Ages and Stages questionnaire is a US-based tool which we have socio-culturally adapted and validated as per the SAARC countries. And we had led in India, but we had used some collaborators from SAARC countries because we had some socio-cultural sensitivity. So they are screening tools to pick them up, and diagnostic tools for autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, epilepsy, and neuromotor impairment have been developed by us. Initially, the Inclin tools were there, which we have now made AIMS modified to the latest guidelines and expanded age range. Neuromotor impairment is a term which we coined for the Inclin study because a child will not come as CP or a muscle dystrophy or anything. A child is going to come with a motor problem to a clinician. So this tool helps you to diagnose whether the child has CP, neuromuscular disorder, or any post-meningoencephalitic sequelae or stroke or so on. So you have this, for autism, we have this AIMS modified Inclin tool, which is based on DSM-5, which was the first DSM-5 based tool globally, which according to the published evidence, and this is in consonance with the WHO ICD-11. It's published in an international journal PLOS One. It also has a scoring. It has good sensitivity and specificity, and it has a severity scoring which is there, and which is correlating with the CARS. Then this was published in March 2019, and Colonel Prajita is there. She was my student earlier when she had come from the army for DM pediatric neurology, and for her DM dissertation we developed a tool to identify early signs of autism in less than 18 months. So we have 0 to 12, 0 to 6 to 12, and 12 to 18 months. We have developed questionnaires, and we could pick up at 12 months autism for a sensitivity of 90%. So this is there, and then what happens, everybody does some study, little bit increase in the CAR score, little bit increase in hyperactivity, people say it is working. So there was an international consensus, I was the only Asian to be part of it, in which it was decided by some procedure, specific technical procedure, elicitation procedure, that 4.5 CARs change would be taken as clinically meaningful response. So when you are reviewing any literature and any evidence, whether it's a parent or a professional, you have to see if the CAR score is moving by 4.5. Then only you understand it's going to cause a clinically meaningful response. So this is the app which we have developed, which is for all the 4 tools which are socio-culturally adapted. This is the AIMS modified tools for epilepsy, autism, ADHD, and MI. Autism tool is for 1 to 14 years. Available free on Google and Apple Play Store at PNeuroAIMS Diagnostics. Then how will you prevent? You will prevent, or you can pick up very early before anything is appearing clinically, if you know the various biomarkers which are there. The biomarkers can be in the placenta. They may be taken in the maternal blood from some fetal cells coming in the maternal blood, or you may have certain genetics, the blood test or urine test or brain tissue or the EEGs or the MRI, something to pick early. So a lot of studies are going on to understand. Still tons and tons of studies are going on. We did vitamin D, found vitamin D and zinc levels less in autism children, and we also studied some various oxidative biomarkers, and we found some biomarkers reduced, but still it is a long way before you can actually globally start screening them. Then we also tried to see heavy metals. We found mercury, chromium, manganese and selenium in around 320 patients of autism to be low. To be high compared to autism, compared to healthy controls. This was in 180 autism with 180 normal children. And we also studied quantitative EEG, and we found some biomarkers which we can work more in research, and these things have been found. And we are also currently doing another study to understand the molecular genetics and environmental aspects of autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. And we are also having a consortium from DBT trying to understand that from Pan-India side, and Dr. and Mary, my dear friend, is kindly agreed to be part of it because we want parent advocates to be there. This is something interesting. We studied the gut. See, if you're eating the same food in the family, my gut microbiome would be same as my family members, right? It is logical if you're eating the same food in the family. We did the autism patients, did the gut microbiome, and did their siblings. It was different. So there is something which is giving that is the gut-brain axis work, so that is why the probiotic story and working on the gluten-free casein finger is going on. So these trials are going on. We'll be able to give you result very soon. this is something interesting. We studied the father's sperm's epigenome and found that there were some methylation defects in the sperm epigenome of the fathers. So that means that the lifestyle of the father, the stress in the father's age, all is also having bearing. So autism is not simple. So we are trying to understand. And then picking up early. Picking up early would be like lots of things I've done on eye tracking, and they say that for siblings you can siblings of autism you can see eye tracking. The children for autism look particular side. Their tracking is poor, so that is why they have said that for siblings you can do screening. We have collaborated with University of Reading and Sangat and IIT Mumbai and developed this tool, which is it's a tablet-based tool for screening of autism risk, including eye tracking. And this also another with University of Burbank, we have also worked on this eye tracking. We have developed this, which is being studied ahead in eye tracking and has been published. Also, along with Sangat and Manchester and Harvard Medical School and King College London, there is this program of intervention which is called Compass, in which what they are doing is we are the site for in which we are testing in our patients' families. You have the interaction with the child with the mother, which is video recorded. Based on that, the therapist gives guidance of how exactly to go and do it. And this is currently being tried with ASHA level workers. So if it works, it may be taken out in the community. So this is what the protocol for this is published recently. And nobody has understood the cost involved for the parents. So there's a cost of illness inventory developed. Also, emotion recognition ability has been not studied much. So this was the IIT Kanpur. We have developed this emotion matching task, and an Indian affective picture database has been made. And happiness was the easiest emotion to recognize by autism children, and fear was the most difficult. This is augmentative and alternative communication. We have been trying to develop a mobile app for this. It's an ongoing study, so it is important to aid them with these devices so as to be able to communicate. And there's a lot of things going on about the functional connectivity of the brain. A lot of studies are going on, and there are a lot of studies which have done about the direct assessment, using digital tools to see what is the risk for developing autism. And one thing you should understand, artificial intelligence and augmented intelligence. Artificial intelligence is when the machines are replaced the humans, and augmented intelligence is when machines are aiding human. And what we are doing is augmented intelligence. We are giving support, we are giving help, we are not replacing. So there have been some available AI-based algorithms to screen and diagnose autism early. So what they have done in the West, which we plan to do in our current one study with RDBT, that they use artificial intelligence based on the routine tools which are available and seen from which of the data points they could predict autism, so that they can use all combined tools and use the best tool and develop one best which can be simpler to administer and give us the maximum information. And similarly, they have used machine learning has been used for various things, and also for the FDA has actually approved one Cognova. We are working with the person, the CEO of this company, through International Child Neurology Network of ICNA, and then we are developing an AI-based SIG globally, in which we are trying to work on this. So there in this, the parents put the videos and the software tells, and they ask certain questions, and the software tells whether it is going to be having a risk for autism. Similar thing is being worked here. Those were the normal technical things, but new AI can be used for normal technical data. That can be, you can have mobile, videos can be uploaded and then can be told whether the child has autism or not. There are some gaze patterns of toddlers which have been seen. Behavior of the child, behavior imaging has been seen to predict. Robotics have been done both in diagnosing as well as intervention part. It is being used for improving the social skills at home and how the child interacts with the robot. They have used to assess what are the parameters. We have just now completed a study in which we have seen how a child is interacting with a humanoid robot and trying to understand how you can predict autism. Autism is also another 2 minutes or 3 minutes will be winding up. Autism is being used for interventions. Okay. Autism is for interventions. We have two kinds of robots, which are there actually multiple kinds of robots, but there are two primarily. One is parrot-based, other is humanoid robots, human-based. We've been working on humanoid robots, and the only problem is many of these children are interacting with robots more than humans. They are getting improvement, but hello sir, but in case if they are going to, whether it will be replicated into a human behavior later is something to be discussed and thought about. When working, and developing augmented and virtual reality in autism, we have developed apps. And this is all tablet-based thing. We are developing, improving the prediction skill of these children, having the joint attention, gaze attention, trying to work on that. And also having this robot-assisted, this one is the humanoid robot our child was being trained. So AI also being used, we're developing a prediction skill-based robotic toys, which will help the child to improve their prediction skills. And virtual reality, which I mentioned to you, is important, which we have been working. Virtual reality is that, important, and you may have digital elements being added to it, which becomes augmented reality. And this is the one app which I was showing you. There's reinforcement-based learning using augmented and virtual reality. A boy is standing here, depending on the next step, how far the next stand will come, whether the child will be able to cross or not. So, that is dependent on this, and whether this is a ball and there are two, the sticks are there, so you have to avoid the sticks with the ball. So like this, the child is able to do a temporal and spatial prediction in a game form, and it is AI-based analyzed. As the child keeps doing, gets more difficult questions. So like this, apple has been shown along with the picture. So you are adding in augmented reality the same. You may have the real digital elements. So like this, lots of things we have been working on. In addition, we are also working on compressive garments. We developed this vest for these children, this one, in which to reduce the hyperactivity in children with autism with proprioceptive inputs. But in this study they did improve, but once they stopped using the vest, it came back. And this is something very new. We have just finished the analysis. Theta burst transcranial magnetic stimulation. This you have a lot of psychiatrists available, and they have been using in depression because FDA is approved for depression long back. But we bought our own kit. We didn't use a psychiatrist, but you can collaborate. So this we tried to see. We developed a new protocol for theta burst, and we have found that these children are doing really well. After this, we completed a randomized control trial on theta burst for autism. And we are also trying to see the long non-coding RNA biomarkers, whether it will have a role. The long non-coding RNAs have been shown from things from Alzheimer's and autism. Lots of things are going on. The era of precision medicine, which is there. Precision medicine is, initially what happened was that you have the whole human genome, then you understood what genes are causing what conditions, then what conditions are being caused by what genes. Then you have, TB, then you have tuberculosis medicines like that. But now, then it will be now, it says that I have a problem, so it will be a medicine targeted to Shivali for what my genetics is, my environmental is, my lifestyle. So it is going to be precision based. But the problem is, as I explained to you, it's still an enigma. There is so much of clinical and etiological heterogeneity, and a lot of studies are going on with those, I told you, especially on those epigenetic ones, as I showed you. Still they are going on to understand drug intervention and the biomarker assessment, and whether it is going to be at what stage, the environmental or the genetics. And I told you our best bet is going to be epigenetics. As of now, for tuberous sclerosis associated, you have a drug. For neurofibromatosis associated, you have a drug. For Rett syndrome, you have a drug. For creatine deficiency, you have a drug, and Fragile X, you have a drug. So these are precision medicines which are there, and Prisma is an NGO based in USA working on precision medicine and autism. Stem cell, I already told you, a total no-no. We are working on exosomes derived from mesenchymal stem cells and working in ASD mice currently, so will be something which will be nice. You cannot finish the slide on technology without talking about this. The future is going to be pre-implantation genetic screening and pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. Currently in India, only for thalassemia, because we don't even know what all is causing autism. It's going to be a long shot, but something of the future. And also, the autism and ADHD children have associated with high mortality, so there's some causality, and we are missing something, it's all complex. And screen time exposure has to be mentioned. Technology has its both sides. So they have shown now in this JAMA Pediatrics article that a child with having at 1 year more screen time caused more autism in boys at 3 years. But we are talking about the technology which is interactive. All this virtual reality, augmented reality, AI-based stuff we're talking about was the interactive one. So it is not the useless screen time what we are talking about. So don't get bogged down. That's why I wanted to end by saying we have guidelines for our screen time, and I can't finish by talking. You can't call now. They are saying is what are you going to call? No, you don't call neurotypical specialists. Nothing. There is a neurodiversity which is there, and It is there which we talk so much globally, so that we have to understand, and we can empower the professionals as well as the parents through the websites. And this was a training of master trainers program which we've had with National Trust for many years. We have e-learning modules, and this is the parent information booklets we have for many conditions, at least maybe 50-60 booklets in Hindi and English, and for various aspects. And these were the workshops which were there. We are going to, sir has just cleared the project money, and we will be having more e-certification course and hybrid workshops now. And the disability, you have to please address the quality of life of these children, and don't forget the moms. I had 76.8% moms were clinically depressed. So it is a family condition to have. It is not mother to take care only. You have to think. I tell my parents, fathers to see, please look at as a family, as a team. If you look at the mother, after a couple of years, you'll have to take care of the mother as well as the child. And it is very important to have caregivers' perceptions. And that is how recently we had one article on that. We had reviewed on the caregivers' perception, and they are so lost. We have to break the maze for these people. You have to hold their hands, and it is not, nobody is doing anybody a favor. It's our job to guide and do, and anybody's right to understand. And so this is to, you have to have this nurturing framework is there to understand from early first 3 years of life how to pick them up and how to guide the parents to this. So we have the Center of Excellence, which we are working on a national registry, including for autism, National Knowledge Training Center, Advanced Diagnostics. For autism, we are having the NGS as well as RACGS. We have finished data of last 5 years. We're collating, so we'll be getting some data for you very soon. And obviously working on all this virtual reality and all I've already mentioned. And we also have a child neurology teleconsultation and telehelpline. Telehelpline is anybody to call for anything. Teleconsultation is basically our old patients who can on follow-up. And we have done research to say that if we are not doing a face-to-face and we're doing on phone, we are not missing critical clinical events. So that is how we have done, and this is working. And COVID has caused more problems also. And but interestingly, we saw that typically developing children also in this review which we had done. We had done a review for 23,000 children. We had problems, but very strangely, some of the autism parents did say that they were doing better during the COVID time when they were there with the children. This was the transformation towards a neuro-inclusive world for all is the theme this year, and Light It Blue campaign is always there, and the Marvel Hunt, the Autistic Marvel, which I was mentioning, we did with the National Trust. I think we are looking for equity and not equality. Very importantly, we should understand. And this was the World Awareness Day, and we're grateful to all our partners globally, and importantly to the children and families who have had entrusted faith in us, and all the supporters we have. And we have to remember Albert Einstein, everybody is different. We have to understand that. You don't have expectations. I cannot have expectation from, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, every whole life is going to think that it's stupid. So everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own thing. We have to just maximize their own potential, and that is, I think, the National Trust's basic theme. So when the world says give up, hope is first tried one more time, and differently able can challenge the world. I think it's all neurodiverse. 5 fingers are not same. We are living with children, who, if you're in my class, I remember, there were 4-5 toppers, and 4-5 always used to be borderline. बड़ी मुश्किल से पास होते थे. You're accepting all of them, right? You have bosses who are bad also. Your bosses who are good. You're dealing with them. You're not leaving your jobs, right? You're accepting them. So they are like that. You're expecting in life. So this is also a spectrum, So we have to understand. Nobody will change. They're not going to change for them. We have to change. According to them, we are the ones who are different, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So in the meantime, if you have any question, I can take one question. Yes. So presentation, our National Trust team, they will provide definitely. We can take it as a part of CRE. Okay. So anyone else? Yeah, please. Yeah, can just. Yeah, but yeah, please.
I just want to know because you said yoga may not have. You think that yoga. You must have collect evidence from schools. Most of us are doing yoga therapy, and it's very helpful. करते हाँ. No, because if you say yoga, people will go back with that. But I personally feel, because you know I've been working almost 12, 15 years on in the sector.
Published work नहीं था तो published में करते हैं हम. I'll take your inputs and we can do it. We have one CMR facility
Doing a
named.
research is not our cup of tea because our hands are full. But definitely whoever is doing research, coming up about certain things categorically from the stage should not be allowed, because you should do the negative research also.
No, actually, I'm very interested. I really, only thing is we had to see whether these children will be able to do, and we can be able to do in research mode. We can do a pilot and see and then do it. Yeah. Published literature.
I'll very much be a part of it if you want.
Sure.
Maya.
Yeah, I would love.
Definitely, we can take the research. We have many CRE participants, those who are pursuing MEd or PhD, they can start the research on yoga. Yeah, please.
Anybody, whoever wants to have any idea, any suggestions, any collaborations, and I think collaborations are the in thing and it's required. Everybody is sitting in their own places and doing things. The idea is, if suppose you have developed something, I did not think of it earlier, I start developing again, I'm wasting time and resources of the country. Na? So instead of kuch hai, we can collaborate and make it better. And what I have made, I mean, I have not been alone as a team. That is not 100% good. Na? Everything is dynamic. You may have idea to improve it. Instead of starting something de novo yours, you can tell, let's do this. इसमें ये गलती है, ये better होना चाहिए. Then do it and take it forward.
Definitely.
Research is a continuous, ongoing
Yeah.
process, and we need collaboration. We need anybody can email, can reach out anytime.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry, we can't take the more questions. We can keep the questions for the next session. So thank you very much. Have a big round of applause for Dr. Shifan. We are moving for the second session. The second session is breaking the maze of autism for parents. When a child has been diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, many parents discovered themselves confused while attempting to manage with the multidisciplinary team, while we are saying the OT, PT, ST and all. So allowing the parents to take the charge is one of the most critical aspects of the community. तो जब हम एक बच्चे के ऑटिज्म स्पेक्ट्रम डिसऑर्डर का पहचान करते हैं या किया जाता है, तो कई माता पिता अभिभावक जो है वो पुनर्वास टीम के साथ मिलकर उसको प्रबंध करने में लगते हैं, और कभी कभी वो खुद को भ्रमित भी पाते हैं, और माता पिता का स्वयं एक निर्णय लेने में भी बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम्स होता है. उनकी इजाजत चाहिए या फिर समुदाय को एक महत्वपूर्ण पहलू दिया जाता है. So we have the next session and we have the very eminent personality, eminent figures, and we have Miss Mary Barwa ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am. Please come and moderate the session. Mary Barwa ma'am has made the great things in this strides in the autism, working as a director of Action for Autism in Delhi. Due to her very dedicated efforts in passion, the first school was dedicated to the autism opened its door. Along with the launch of the teacher trainings and publications in the autism, additionally she played the essential role for initiating the services in South Asia and contributing so many change in the legislations for the people with autism. She has earned the recognition from the Ashoka Fellow, and she has a lot of incredible efforts, being the proud parents of Neeraj. So we welcome you, ma'am, and we have the member. The member is Colonel Dr. Aparajita Gupta. Ma'am, please welcome. She is currently an associate professor in Army Hospital, RR Hospital, and her research focused on the diverse topics such as genetic characteristics of the neurodivergent disorder, epilepsies, autoimmune epilepsy, and brain-related impairment. The next member is Dr. Meena Chandra. Meena Chandra, ma'am, please welcome. Okay. And Meena Chandra is the esteemed professor of the psychiatry and head of department and the Center of Excellence in the Mental Health at RML, New Delhi. With the 18 years of experience teaching at postgraduate level, she has the numerous publications. She has published 46 papers. We welcome you, ma'am. And The next next member we have Sri Nipun Malhotra. He is the head of the Nipman Foundation, Wheel for Life, and an external effort with the Boston Consultancy Group, and he has been the very active member in the FICCI and CIIs. Well, we welcome you, sir. Yes, ma'am. So its floor is yours. And then the fifth member is the Mr. Tarun Paul. We welcome with the big round of applause. And Tarun is 17 years old. He is an individual on the autism spectrum who cannot verbalize. Instead of he used the typing to make the thoughts known. We welcome you, Tarun. You can use it, yes.
शेयर कर अच्छा ठीक है Good afternoon, everyone. We are going into a session jahan par we will be talking about how parents understand autism and wo apne autistic children ko kaise support kar sakte hain. Basically, that's what the section is all about. And we know that as diagnosticians, as counselors, as teachers, hum parents ko autism ke bare kya message dete hain, that is really what impacts the life of the child forever. There are very few parents who are able to come out of wo jo initial message jo diya jata hai. And very often that initial message is a not very positive message. And that is often what leads to something that Dr. Gulati was talking about, you know, where the parental vulnerability is exploited and there is stem cell therapy and hyperbaric oxygen therapy and chelation and all of that parents keep putting their children through. We feel that starting this particular session, it would be perfect to start with our autistic advocate who's here with us, and all of us could follow him. So I would like to invite Tarun. Just give me a minute. Let me find the document. Okay, so I think before, should we introduce each one and should we know? So what I'm going to do is before I start, I will quickly give an introduction to all our speakers, right? And starting, I'll give all the introductions and then I will ask Tarun to speak. Okay, Chitra? I'll give all the introductions. I'll play it. Okay, sure. So our first person that we will invite will be Tarun Paul Matthew, who's 17-year-old, a non-speaking autistic teenager who lives in Kochi with his parents. He was diagnosed at the age of 3 years and started to communicate around the age of 7 years. Using typing as his mode of communication, he has been passionately teaching people about autism through blog articles, interviews, and panel discussions. Tarun is also a resource person for RCI courses in Kerala and is one of the first 2 non-speaking autistic persons in South Asia to represent our country at the United Nations World Autism Awareness Day program this year in 2023. Tarun is on the steering committee of the India chapter of the Institute of Neurodiversity, and last year he collaborated with 15 other young non-speaking autistic people in India to co-author a book called Talking Fingers, Voices of Non-Speaking Indian Autistics. Actually, copies of the book are also available outside for sale. And I think it's a very important book because हमारा एक जो perception है कि if a kid with autism is not speaking, इसका कुछ बोलने का कुछ नहीं है, इसको कोई समझ नहीं है, they are kind of dismissed and not really seen as complete human beings. So what this book has really done is changed that perception, and it will be wonderful if we can buy the book, copies of which are outside. Tarun strongly believes in speaking for his community of non-speaking autistics so that they get better opportunities to live with respect and dignity. The next person who's on the panel is Colonel Dr. Aparajita Gupta. She's Associate Professor, Army Hospital R&R, and is currently working, And the next is Dr. Meena Chandra, who's Professor and HOD of Psychiatry at the Center of Excellence in Mental Health, Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Medical Sciences, and Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, New Delhi, and WHO Fellow in Drug and Alcohol Medicine. Dr. Chandra received the Commissioner of Police Delhi Award for providing COVID-19 related mental health care support to Delhi police personnel. She brings 18 years of experience as a teacher and as a gold medalist and has numerous awards and honors to her credit. She has 46 papers in national and international peer-reviewed journals, 5 book chapters, and 1 national standard treatment guidelines. Dr. Chandra's area of interest are in cognition, dementia, mobile-based health interventions, psychiatric morbidity and diabetes, burnout, autism, and disability. The next person on the panel is my friend Dr. Nipun Malhotra. He's co-founder and CEO of Nipman Foundation, founder Wheels for Life, an external expert Boston consultancy group. Nipun is a founder chair of FICCI's subcommittee on empowering persons with disabilities. He's founder of Wheels for Life, a crowdsourcing platform connecting those who need wheelchairs to donors who can financially contribute for them. Nipun is an alumnus of St. Stephen's College, Delhi, School of Economics and ISB. So what we will do is, I also want to mention that we have a number of autistic self-advocates with us today in the audience, and I hope that they will also participate when we come to the discussion section on the panel. So we will start with Tarun, and I'd like to invite Tarun. I will do the presentation and he will do the thing from the, okay, all right. So, okay. So the video can be. Yeah. And then if there are questions. So we play the video and then if there are questions, then we will answer it. Okay. So what Tarun has done is he's made a little video which we will present because it is very overwhelming for him. ये पहला बार वो stage में बैठकर कर रहा है. Usually he sits in the audience and answers questions. This is the first time he's on the stage. So as an autistic person, it is extremely overwhelming for him. तो एक video prepare करके लाया है. We will show that, and then if there are any questions, he will answer those. You want those in a straight line, huh? Yes.
I would like to say to the parents that love your child, empower him to think and express. It
So to give a little background on how Tarun communicates, so he uses generally software, apps, or he uses just an MS Word document and a regular laptop to type. So some of the apps he's used and he continues to use include Avaz, Cough Drop, and recently he's also started to use something called a speech assistant, which is just text-based. शुरू से कर दो इस just put it back. Yeah. So Talking Figures is the book that I was talking about. See, these are messages from there.
I am a man who can understand others' emotions and accept me as a human being. If you don't look at my autism, I feel you can accept me as what I am. Give wings, let us fly. I'll be nine on air.
Our senses define our perception, and our perception helps shape our understanding of the world, and of ourselves in relation to the world around. This difference in perception also brings with it certain strengths. Help us build on our strengths to bloom and become the best version of ourselves. Auditi Somi Narayan.
I would like to say to the parents that love your child, empower him to think and express. It will make him a mature person. Akshat Rasi. In a world of trees with bright and beautiful flowers, I am a seed. I look around and see many seeds like me who are struggling in the depths of darkness. Give them love, acceptance, trust, support, and they too will flourish. The world needs all kinds of trees. Auditi Candula. A parent is the most important part of our journey. Autism is not any maze. Its behavioral manifestation is a neurological disturbance. So, create an atmosphere so that she/he can function. Talking to them and giving them a means to communicate, help them to navigate through the world of eerie complexities. A retreat day. Autism unfolds more and more spirit on pondering, with love and patience. Mothers kindle positive thoughts, yet, making path in lower and impossible circumstances. Joseph Korean. Love your child unconditionally. Spend time with your child to understand them. Reach for more than what you think is possible. Be patient. Nishan Shriram. Love your kids unconditionally and support them by giving right to express with confidence. Shiva Sanjit Venkamimada. Please trust your child and keep working and supporting. Don't worry about the age of the child. Sarvahi Krishna Prasad.
Trust us. Give us some time, support us. Just love us. You can see us bring forth bright flowers. Sharon Mary Zakaria. Autism brings mannerisms that are baffling, challenging, and gripping, but inside comprehension tends to be thoughtful, reflective, and curious. We are creative minds, thinking concepts, trying hard to interpret the world. Vanshita Srivastava.
Tarun Verma. Intern at IHR Vocational Center, Action for Autism. Co-author, Talking Fingers. I am autistic. Like non-autistic people, I also think. But yes, I think differently and do things differently. Though I am almost non-speaking and
fused with so many different reasons, but acceptance of admissions for CWSN, availability of counselors and special educators in schools, community awareness and acceptance, better teacher acceptance, improvement in peer acceptance, but still, of course, there's a long way to go. And of course, but the fact is the movement has started, and the legislation, the policies, the frameworks, it's being readied, it is there. The fact is that we need to implement and find out what is the result of that. So, as I was telling you, UDISE, this is a Unified District Information System for Education Plus, is one of the largest management information systems initiated by the government, by the Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, covering more than 14.89 lakhs of schools, 95 lakhs of teachers, and 26.5 crores of children. And it is expected that children with disabilities should be there in the schools, and whatever their numbers be, the facilities be uploaded in this largest management information system. UDID, we all know, I'm sure I need not tell you that this is a unique disability identity document. So what I believe is, what we feel is that linking the UDID to the UDISE and its current status, because as far as my knowledge goes, that it is still not been done, but if it is done, then this would definitely help us. Okay, the challenges very quickly, because Alok has told me that I'll have to wind up, but I was supposed to take half an hour. Is it already? Okay, okay. So very quickly, I'm sorry. So very quickly, one of the most important challenges is that, the schools refuse, saying that at times they may refuse, or they do refuse, that we do not have the facilities. And the parents say that, now, if the facilities are not there, how do we get the child admitted? This is a big challenge. Accessibility issues, of course it's there. Nipam, he was moving out. I quickly moved out with him, and I asked him, Nipam, I would like to know more from you. I'm a learner. I would like to learn, how have you modified this vehicle of yours? He said, yes. And I could see how it was done, the ramp. I said, can we, have we done anything on this? So he said that, oh no, we are going to connect on this. We are going to talk more on this. So accessibility for school buses, the way the children are herded at times into school, into various means of transport, is something that we need to have a look at. And of course, as I said, I strongly believe if you push a string, it goes nowhere. If you pull a string, it follows you. It is very, very important that the people who are in positions of power, they should realize and understand what is the RPWD Act related to disability. They should be in that position. I would again and again say teachers training program, more than teachers training program, I would say principals training program, awareness for principals, even for bureaucrats, even for people, because they are the policy makers. If their word is the law, if they say yes, it happens. If they say no, it may not. It then becomes an even more difficult journey. Okay, and since I believe I've taken a little more, lot of time. So very quickly, I strongly believe in one thing. mentors or mentorship is the key. Creating capable mentors is also so very important. A mentor like Annie Sullivan created Helen Keller. A mentor like Anand Kumar, a particular person who churns out IITians year after year. A mentor like, do we call ourselves as a sporting nation? No. Do we call ourselves? No. Do we call ourselves a nation which is cricket crazy? Yes or no? Loudly. Yes, we are cricket crazy. Everybody, every day we are watching cricket. But the Europeans, they mock at us. Why? They say that you cannot have 11 players who can play football. You do not even participate in the World Cup football. Similarly, when we talk of badminton, a particular person like Pulela Gopichand, he has churned out world beaters. Why? Because of his complete passion into that particular area of focus. So what we need as a country, that inclusion become a part of our life. It becomes a part of our culture. I know it will take a lot of time, but the process has begun. The movement seems to have already started. What we had seen 2 decades back, it has changed a lot, and that's the reason why we could say that there is a paradigm shift in that. So come on, let's all move towards that culture of inclusion. Thank you so very much. And any question that you would like to ask? Okay, so fine. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nandi sir. You have given the very great perspective about the right-based model of the rehabilitation. And I would like to request board member, Madam, please come forward and let me see the name. Ruby Singh ma'am, please come forward and give the flower pot to Dr. Nandi. It's a gesture for welcoming you, sir. Please, sir. Come forward. And now we will go for the session 4, and this is the panel discussion, approach to autism across the lifespan. So I would like to request our back team, please arrange the seats. So early individuals' growth is exclusive in those suffering from the autism and certain disability. हम कहते हैं कि हर व्यक्ति का जो विकास है वो विशिष्ट होता है. हर व्यक्ति अपने आप में अलग तरीके से विकसित होता है, और जो ऑटिज्म से प्रभावित लोग हैं उनकी जो समस्या है, उनके विशेषताएं हैं, वो थोड़े भिन्न होते हैं. मैं तो कहता हूँ कि बड़ा अच्छा होता है, खास वो अपने दुनिया में तो रहते हैं, अपने आप को एंजॉय तो कर पाते हैं. लेकिन हम जितने भी लोग हैं, हम जितने भी व्यक्ति हैं, अपनी दुनिया को एंजॉय करने के लिए अलग अलग हमारे पास साधन है, संसाधन है, विभिन्नता है. तो आज हम लोग अभी इस सेशन में यह जानने की कोशिश करेंगे कि जो विश्लेषण है एक ऑटिस्टिक व्यक्ति के मस्तिष्क का, जो एक विश्लेषण है ऑटिस्टिक व्यक्ति के ब्रेन का, उसके बारे में वी हैव द वेरी ग्रेट पैनलिस्ट And we welcome our moderator, Dr. Nimeshji Desai sir. He is the Distinguished Professor of Psychiatry and former Director of Institute for Human Behavior and Allied Science in Delhi, and he is the President of Manovikas Charitable Society. Please welcome, sir. We welcome you, sir. And we have the Dr. Gagan Hans. He is the Associate Professor of Psychiatry in the esteemed All India Institute of Medical Science, New Delhi. And he has been awarded by so many awards. We welcome you, sir. And next panelist is Professor Manju Mehta. Ma'am, please welcome you. And she is the Professor of Clinical Psychology with the Psychiatry Department at, she was the, formerly at AIMS, and now she is regularly instructing the judges and conduct the psychological analysis and so many things in the judiciary. And we have the very great panelist and very experienced panelist, Dr. Nidhi Singhal. Please welcome you, ma'am. And she is leading the research and training at Action for Autism. This is the Action for Autism is the National Center for Autism in Delhi. And madam has achieved so many awards and so many distinct recognition. We welcome you. And then we have the Rakshita Shekhar. She is the Purple Ambassador. We welcome you, Rakshita. And she is an expert educator with various experiences both in regular and special education. And Ms. Sekhar emphasis in the mental health and well-being of the children with disability. So we welcome you all, and this floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure you can hear us, right?
No, I'll give you to make it.
Thanks. Thanks so much, sir. On my own individual part and on behalf of this panel here, first of all, really big thanks to the National Trust, Jay Saab, Vedishwaranji, and Navneet and Alok and many other friends. We are here at, I think, what, 3:15? Yeah, we're okay. No, just a little late. Not too bad. Approach to autism across lifespan. The entire lifespan, what are the situations for persons with autism, autism spectrum issues, and especially about inclusive living. We heard Nandiji talk about barriers and problems and solutions for inclusive education, but from the time that I have been here and all the time in the last few years that I have spent on these areas, my concern along with Alok and many other friends has been about actually the reality of inclusive living. And I really don't want to say too much at this stage. Maybe we'll come to summarize what colleagues say. But with the consent of the professionals on the panel, especially my longtime friend, Dr. Manju Mehta, we are going to go in the reverse order. And we are going to request our Purple Ambassador, Rakshita Shekhar, to please start. Rakshita, all yours.
Thank you, sir. In preparation for this speech, I reached out to autistic adults across the country, about 250 of them, and we collated the messages that they sent to us. The messages have been printed in an easy to understand manner, and आप सबको अभी मिला होगा वो sheet. उसका पूरा काम कोलेट करना, शीट को डिज़ाइन करना, सब कुछ I did not do it alone. I did it with a group of autistic adults who came forward voluntarily to be a part of this. हमें बहुत बोला जाता है कि हम लोग टीम वर्क नहीं कर सकते हैं, हमारे पास सोशल स्किल्स नहीं हैं. जब हम एक दूसरे का स्ट्रेंथ यूटिलाइज करते हैं, उसका नतीजा आप सबके सामने है. बट उसका समरी सारांश मैं आज अपने स्पीच में बोलना चाहूँगी। और इस स्पीच को मैंने नहीं, हम सब ने मिल के एक FAQ या फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस के फॉर्मेट में तैयार किया है, जो क्वेश्चंस सबके मन में आते हैं। हम ऑटिस्टिक लोगों को ये चांस मिला है कि हम उन प्रश्नों का उत्तर दें इस बार। तो सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन कि डिसेबिलिटी क्या होती है। बहुत सारे तरीके आज हमने यहाँ पे देखी डिसेबिलिटी को समझने के लिए। बहुत सारे वर्ड्स यूज किए जाते हैं, स्पेशल नीड्स, डिफरेंटली एबल्ड, डिसेबिलिटी, डिफरेंटली चैलेंज्ड। बट इसका आधार ये है कि हमारा जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ऑफ व्हाट दिस इज हैज चेंज्ड ओवर द पास्ट कपल ऑफ इयर्स। वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद स्टार्ट हुआ था मेडिकल मॉडल ऑफ डिसेबिलिटी, क्योंकि वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद बहुत सारे लोग डिसेबल्ड थे एंड देयर वाज एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि डॉक्टर्स थेरेपिस्ट्स को साथ आके उनको हेल्प करना है। मेडिकल मॉडल सेज कि जो प्रॉब्लम है उसे हम बीमारी बोले, कंडीशन बोले, डिसेबिलिटी बोले, इम्पेयरमेंट बोले। मेडिकल मॉडल ये बोलता है कि जो प्रॉब्लम है वो पर्सन के अंदर होती है। बट UNCRPD ने ये डेफिनेशन अभी चेंज कर दिया है और अब हम ये समझते हैं, एक सोशल मॉडल बोलते हैं और हम इसको ऐसे समझते हैं कि जो पर्सन स्ट्रगल करता है उस स्ट्रगल का आधार सोसाइटी में है। मेरा बॉडी अलग है, बट when this body interacts with an environment which is barrier full, तब मेरा जो फंक्शनैलिटी है, तब मेरा जो एबिलिटी टू कंट्रीब्यूट है, वो बहुत बहुत सिवियरली नीचे आ जाता है और उसको हम लोग डिसेबिलिटी आजकल बोलते हैं। तो ये डिसेबिलिटी मेरे अंदर नहीं है, ये डिसेबिलिटी उस बाउंड्री पे है जहां पे मैं इस सोसाइटी के साथ इंटरैक्ट कर रही हूं। ये मैसेज सारे ऑटिस्टिक लोग पहले आप सबको इस रूम में देना चाहते हैं। डिसेबिलिटी is created not innate. एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको दे दिया है। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो बहुत बार हमें पूछा जाता है, व्हाट इज ऑटिज्म? इस क्वेश्चन को आंसर करने के लिए हम पहले ये समझना चाहते हैं कि व्हाट इज नॉट ऑटिज्म। ऑटिज्म इज नॉट एन इलनेस. Autism is not a disease. It is socially and medically wrong to think of autism as an illness or disease. It is not just socially and medically wrong to think of autism as a disease. It is discriminatory to think of autism as an illness or disease. Just as there is more to a person than what you perceive from outside, there is a rich internal life behind the behaviors which are manifested by an autistic person. Therefore, it is a mistake to think of autism based on सिर्फ हम लोग बाहर से क्या देखते हैं और हमें क्या दिखता है. Cognitively, autism का जो ब्रेन है वो ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग थोड़ी चीज़ों में बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, थोड़ी चीज़ों में बहुत बहुत बुरे होते हैं. द डिफरेंस स्ट्रेंथ्स और वीकनेसेस सब लोगों के अंदर होते हैं, बट जो स्ट्रेंथ और वीकनेस का डिफरेंस होता है, नॉन ऑटिस्टिक लोगों में उसका अंतर बहुत छोटा होता है. ऑटिस्टिक लोगों में स्ट्रेंथ बहुत अच्छा हो सकता है और वीकनेस इम्पेयरमेंट लेवल में हो सकता है. For example, an autistic person may have superb visual retention and impaired sensory motor functions. इसीलिए it becomes difficult to acknowledge even कि किसी ऑटिस्टिक बंदे में कॉम्पिटेंस और सेंसरी और सपोर्ट नीड दोनों एक ही साथ प्रेजेंट हो सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो बहुत लोग हमसे पूछते हैं कि जैसे जैसे एज होता है ऑटिज्म का होता क्या है. Across the lifespans, autistic behaviors and functioning will change in response to how the society is designed. This means that the prevalence of autism, मतलब कि जितने लोग हैं autistic, that will not change based on intervention or circumstance, but the presentation might. This can be understood through the following arguments. Firstly, there will be periods when autistic bodies will grow healthily, but there will also be periods when the brain will become extremely tired and struggle to keep up because of lack of support. Secondly, due to repeated exclusion, autistic people अपने autistic traits को छुपाना सीख लेते हैं. क्यों करते हैं? So that they can avoid exclusion and they can avoid abuse and bullying. In our autistic community, we call this masking. A person who is masking is dissociating from their body. It is extremely dangerous for the mental health of that person. But we do it because we need to protect ourselves. क्योंकि society में support systems अभी तक नहीं हैं. But these can be perceived. बाहर से आप लोगों को क्या दिखेगा कि autism चला गया है, autistic traits कम हो गए हैं. These phenomena of growth, masking and burnout have conventionally been perceived as cure and regression. Thirdly, only now we are beginning to understand that trauma or autism बहुत साथ में. If the person is damaging property or nature, example breaking things or setting things on fire. Third, if the behavior is putting the person at very high risk of exclusion or abuse, for example spitting or undressing in public. ऐसे तीन अगर कोई भी बिहेवियर इन तीन कैटेगरीज में आता है, बिहेवियर इंटरवेंशन करो, बिहेवियर को निकालो बाहर, वरना छोड़ दो उसको. When behavior intervention is provided, an eclectic approach should be used, which is person-centered, neurodiversity affirming, and trauma-informed. But most importantly, the environment needs to be modified. Behavioral control fails autistic people. For example, stimming. Tarun ne bhi iske bare mein baat kiya. It's a self-soothing behavior that autistic people engage in. But when this behavior, बहुत often, बहुत सारे professionals, बहुत सारे parents ये बोलते हैं कि stimming is non-functional और inappropriate, और उसको suppress करने की बात करते हैं. It's a very common thing all across the country, all across the world in fact. ऐसा करने से जो body का natural response होता है to मैनेज इमोशंस, उस नेचुरल रिस्पॉन्स को हम लोग निकाल बाहर फेंक रहे हैं, तब क्या होगा? ऑब्वियसली इमोशनल रेगुलेशन इश्यूज आने वाले हैं. Education for autistic people also needs 3 priority areas: individualized support and inclusive practices. Adulthood transition planning is very, very important. We don't have services for adults. बहुत कम counselors understand how to work with autistic adults. Very, very few people understand. I am a teacher. I do research. I am extremely well trained in universal design and other practices in inclusive education. But जब मैं काम कर रही हूँ, वहाँ पे मुझे अगर support systems नहीं मिलते हैं, there is no therapy center for me to go to. Adulthood post-school opportunities are what this is. Financial independence, income sources, and networking are areas that we struggle with and we need help. Then, what else are our asks? हमारी मांगे क्या हैं? Number 1, research on definition and measurement of quality of life of autistic people. अगर हम ये ही नहीं जाने कि खुश autistic people कैसे दिखते हैं, उन्हें क्या चाहिए, हमारे जो intervention methods हैं, वो बेकार हैं. We need to understand what adaptations can be done. Third, accommodations and adaptations. Adaptations के साथ accommodations भी, that will reduce the extreme levels of distress that autistic children and adults live. And we live in dangerously high levels of distress on a daily basis. अगर आप लोग सोच रहे हैं कि आपका बच्चा हर रोज खुश है, I am sorry to break the news to you, they are extremely stressed. Prioritize research based on lived experiences and direct funding towards it away from the research on cause and cure. बहुत हो गया, cause क्या है autism का, cure क्या है autism का. हम लोग अभी जिंदा हैं, हमें support चाहिए. Less than 1% of the support of the research in this world is happening on how to support autistic people. More than 90% is going on cure क्या है, medically क्या हो रहा है अंदर, इसका cause क्या है. Parents जो यहाँ पे हैं, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी, अगर आपको पता चल गया कि autism का cause क्या है, तो क्या बदल जाएगा? आपको मन में ठंडक मिल जाएगी कि आप उसके cause नहीं हो, क्योंकि पूरी जिंदगी लोगों ने आपको बोला है कि आपने प्रेगनेंसी में ठीक से नहीं खाया, आप काम पे चले गए, इसके लिए आपका बेटा ऐसा है, आपने उसको बहुत सारा फोन टाइम दे दिया, इसीलिए आपका बेटा ऐसा है. मैं आज बोल रही हूँ, और इस रूम में जितने भी ऑटिस्टिक लोग हैं, सब लोग खड़े होके बोलेंगे कि आपकी वजह से हम लोग ऐसे नहीं हैं. You are not the cause of our autism. You have tried your best, and we love you. But please start becoming happy. Promote equity in learning and living opportunities. In conclusion, we all would like to say that beyond using sanitized and appropriate language, we will measure the allyship of doctors, parents, and professionals by the interventions that they suggest and the amount of agency they ascribe to and promote for the autistic people. आपकी बातों से अगर आप बोले कि आप हमें एक्सेप्ट करते हो, and this is especially for professionals, अगर वो बोलते हैं कि you accept us, very nice, but we will measure your allyship कि आप हमें कितना accept करते हो only when you start understanding us and you do things that are friendly to us and reduces our extreme amount of stress that we live in. Thank you.
I'm a bit speechless, really. Rakshita, that was stupendous. That was wonderful. That was super. My request to the three panelist colleagues is that let's make as a base for this panel discussion whatever Rakshita has brought to the table. I respect freedom of each one of you three to bring in additional points, but three of you colleagues and including myself and everybody else, I think it will be our obligation to Rakshita and all our Purple Ambassadors to at least respond to what she has said. And the best thing that I liked is about measuring allyship. I really love that idea. I had a few remarks reserved for the last set of remarks, but I must say this here in line with what Rakshita has brought to the table. The idea of allyship and measuring of professionals, of everybody in the society, especially by persons with autism, is, I think, a swell idea. Linked to that is the usual idea that I've been thinking from the time I came and sat down here. See, there has been this problem about exclusion, be it disability exclusion, be it caste, be it creed, be it race. The problem with exclusion and human phenomenon, social phenomenon of exclusion is us and them. You see, on one or the other count, human race likes to divide into groups of us, 5 of us, and 40 of you there. The first us and them, right? I know it can't be helped. Organizers, please be sure. But I really would prefer, if you don't mind me saying, do that around a table. As Alok knows, I always prefer a round table because there is no us and them. The first us and them is here. You know, there need not be us and them. And if we can all become we, instead of being us and them, on any count, on almost any count in human history, that would perhaps be the first starting step. I really believe that's one crucial part. Cannot but help say what I'm sure of Manju and Gaganans and others have heard of and are familiar with and use, and I'm sure many of us have wonderful slides on that. Be it a disease or not, be it an illness or not, but even if you consider autism to be a disease or an illness for a moment, the answer to wellness is I becoming we. So my major point to all of you and these three colleagues to respond to is, one, break the us and them and change the I to we. That's all inclusive. We, all of us, whatever be the diversity. I cannot but also help remark the other thing that I was making note of when I came and sat down before lunch, from Shefali's talk to the wonderfully conducted panel by Mary. This neurodiversity and neurotypical persons groupism also I'm beginning to have a lot of discomfort with. With the greatest respect, while it's very progressive, but I was sitting there and writing, and I say this in complete honesty. Manju and I have known each other for at least 45 years. Manju can stand witness to this. If I ask myself, am I neurotypical? I will say in all honesty, I'm not. Forget if I have some features of Asperger's, some features of autism. I really have difficulty reading between the lines. Manju knows that. I have serious problem. I like direct talk. And I have paid enough price for that, having been in administrative positions in the government system, right? So this whole idea of neurotypicality, how homogeneous is the group of people who are so-called neurotypical, is what Mary alluded to also, and Shefali alluded to, which I think links in with what Rakshita brought to the table. But continuing with that, shall we ask our friend Gagan once, who is a psychiatrist, professor of psychiatry at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, and it's now important to say AIMS Delhi, since there are more than 30 of them. AIMS Delhi, working on a whole lot of issues of clinical and community concern, but mainly about transitioning of people, children, adolescents to adulthood and old age, and what all clinical and social issues that transition across lifespan brings. Gagan, please.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank the National Trust for inviting me here to present my views on this dais. And after that wonderful talk by Rakshita and picking up cues from that, people with autism will definitely face challenges, and as they move and progress beyond a certain level in life, and all her concerns which she has just shared about, like all the focus being shifted on so as to what causes autism, or what happens to children, or what we can do at school age, so that somehow we can undo what has been there, or somehow improve the condition of the child so that he progresses to way we see the normalcy. So that being said, the transition is always very difficult for children, both into adolescence as well as the adult life. But we have to remember that scientific community is not it's not like the scientific community has not taken note of the fact that probably too much of the research has focused on the way how to develop stimulation in early childhood years, and not to take care of what is happening in the adolescent and in later adult life. So most of the things which Rakshita talked about, they concern the kind of issues which an autistic a child, once he or she grows up to be an adult, faces in the community. And this has been very markedly described in the literature, scientific literature, as if these children disappear suddenly after the age of 18 years from the system. So what does this actually mean? Does that mean that they have progressed into the society and are they on their own? To a certain extent, yes. And scientific community has also taken a note of this in the sense that we don't have enough literature. The questions are very pertinent, but we don't have enough answers at the moment. We don't actually know that what actually is happening once these individuals are progressing beyond the age of 18 or 20. And here is where this cross-section of the Rakshita's thoughts with the whatever scientific literature merges. That all the concerns are very legitimate, but as of yet, we don't have all the answers. We are trying to find out as best as we can, and the focus has recently shifted. No longer is the scientific literature just focused on what happened in the cross-sections, like how many individuals or how many children are receiving stimulation, how many children or how many individuals are employed, how many children or how many individuals are staying with the family. No, we are no longer interested in this. What we want to see are the growth trajectories over the years, over the decades. And the shift has already been made in the sense that we want to track the trajectories of individual over the lifespan, which would be helpful for majority. Of course, advocacy is very important, but what it should lead to is the change in the overall system, where we don't have to really push for things. The system itself develops in such a way where advocacy and scientific literature work hand in hand, and we have all that is required for these individuals to flourish. Thank you, sir.
That is so well said, Gagan. Thank you so much. just to flag one more idea to what Gagan has shared. In mental health and or related disability sectors, I individually believe we have all learned that, like Gagan was saying, in addition to and in fact further to the technical expertise, it's the lived-in expertise of the persons concerned and the carers, and of the, in fact, whoever comes in contact with the rest of the society, as was said in the previous panel, is terribly important. And so, if this remain in compartment, it doesn't help. I am with Gagan to an extent that that's beginning to happen. I'm sure he'll agree it needs to happen much more. The combination of technical expertise and the lived-in expertise.
Yes, so, much more. It is required.
Right, thanks so much. Okay, now we have a professional, a mental health professional, a clinical psychologist, who has spent nearly 2 decades with Mary Barua, the beacon, at least for this field, if not the larger field of IDDs and disability. Nidhi is single, and so she's going to share with us, I guess, a perspective that really will bring in, to some extent, if not more than some extent, that integration. Nidhi, please.
First of all, thank you, the National Trust team, for having me here. Honestly, it's a very humbling experience. सुबह जो हमने session सुना वो भी, और अभी रक्षिता के साथ to be here. And sir, जैसे आपने बोला नमिश sir, I'm speechless. I really don't know. जो भी points बना के सोच के आए थे, अभी लग रहा है रक्षिता ने तो सब कुछ बोल दिया. अभी चलते हैं हम लोग की क्या जरूरत है. And what is जी. एंड मुझे जब मैं रक्षिता को सुन रही थी, एक चीज़ जो बारी बारी दिमाग में आ रही थी वो ये थी कि हमें बोला गया है कि हम एक्सपर्ट हैं. हम लोग मेंटल हेल्थ भी एक्सपर्ट है, हम लोग ऑटिज्म एक्सपर्ट भी है, हमें 20 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है. एंड अभी थोड़ी हंसी आ रही है उस चीज़ को सुनते हुए और सोचते हुए भी, बिकॉज रक्षिता को उससे और तरुण को उससे बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है. दे शुड बी द एक्सपर्ट्स. बट रियलिटी में क्या होता है, प्लीज क्लैप मेरी. बट रियलिटी में क्या हो गया है, द टेबल्स हैव टर्न्ड समवॉट. एंड वन ऑफ द थिंग्स जो बारी बारी में सोच रही थी, हमने एक तरीके से हम हमेशा बोलते हैं ऑटिज्म स्पेक्ट्रम. एंड नवनीत जी, थैंक यू सो मच, आपने तरुण को भी इंक्लूड किया. वी सीन समवॉट ऑफ दैट रेंज ऑफ स्पेक्ट्रम जहाँ पे हम बोलते हैं हाई सपोर्ट नीड्स, लो सपोर्ट नीड्स, हाई फंक्शनिंग, लो फंक्शनिंग. इतने गंदे गंदे लेबल्स हैं हमारी वोकैब्युलरी में अभी कि yes, she did.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. And it is really is to the credit. So thank you Tarun and thank you Rakshita, because हमने पूरा स्पेक्ट्रम से हम सीख रहे हैं कि एक तो कि लिव्ड एक्सपीरियंस क्या है, या मैं पॉइंट ही भूल गई जो मैं बोलने वाली थी, बट हम एक्सपर्ट्स हैं. बट मैं एक चीज, थैंक्स रक्षिता. सो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स जो मैं सोच रही थी वो ये था कि एट वन एंड the onus of proving their disability or ability actually also lies on them, right? कि वो सिखाएंगे कि देखिए हम कर सकते हैं कुछ. एंड देन जब वो कर देते तो हम कहते हैं अच्छा रक्षिता तुम्हारी डिसेबिलिटी क्या है, कहाँ से तुम डिसेबल्ड हो. So the onus of proving her ability and onus of proving their disability all lies on individuals with any kind of disability. And then for educating experts like us, वो भी responsibility उनकी है, right? And we are the experts. We are the so-called experts. So honestly, the only place I would differ from Rakshita in the wonderful speech that you said was the last point, जो आपने शायद last point था शायद, जहाँ पे आपने बोला allyship, you're going to determine that by the way the others, the non-autistic world accepts you. I don't think non-autistic world or anybody in this, I think as human beings,
the way they give us agency and
right, support. Sorry, so but what I would, yes, so one of the things, and but this is a word that's used, acceptance and all of that, हम कितना बोलते हैं. और मैं सिर्फ एक छोटा सा point है जो मैं बोलना चाहूँगी, वो ये है कि आई डोंट थिंक हमारे पास हम में से कोई भी एक इंसान है जो कि किसी को एक्सेप्ट कर सकता है. हम होते कौन है किसी को एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए या किसी को नॉट एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए. आई रियली थिंक द बेंचमार्क हैज टू बी रिस्पेक्ट रादर देन एक्सेप्टेंस. पहले हम टॉलरेंस से एक्सेप्टेंस पे आए थे. वी वर नोबडी टू टॉलरेट और नॉट टॉलरेट. एंड similarly, that it is not up to us to accept or not accept another person or another condition or the ways that we all are individually. But it is about respecting individual differences, whether we call it the word neurodivergence or whether we call it neurotypical. Yeah, and that's the only.
I'm so with you on that, Nidhi, acceptance. But I'll take a step further, and I really mean this. When Rakshita spoke about the last point, wonderful, that they will, the persons with autism will measure all of us individually and as groups or subgroups, especially professionals, for the degree of allyship. So it's for them to decide whether they'll accept or not, individuals or professions or professional help. Having said all of that, and I'm sure meaning it from all of us, let's turn to somebody who, like I said, I've known for nearly half a century now, certainly 45 years, a hugely experienced professional but a very sensitive person, Professor Manju Mehta, who has spent decades at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi and thereby across the country and across nations. In a period that we lived in, and when we were studying and graduating and qualifying, concepts like autism were just coming up. So please understand that Manju and I have been through this transition that kind of has happened in the last 30 or 40 years. So let me request my good friend and a hugely respected professional, who I'm sure will bring sensitivity to the topic, Dr. Manju Mehta, please.
Actually, I want to, as a clinician, I want to say कि हमें जब 2 और 3 साल के बच्चे को लाया जाता है तो वो पेरेंट्स के कुछ कंसर्न होते हैं, तो we have to follow those concerns. Okay, पेरेंट्स के कंसर्न क्या होते हैं? ये बच्चा हमारे जैसा कब बनेगा? When will he become independent? What will happen to him? Will he be able to make some friends or not? और उसके बाद में उसका क्या कैरियर होगा, उसके बाद में क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज है to have a career, will he get married or not, what will happen to him when we are not here. तो इसलिए we have to work on the parents' concern. तो I would say that we have to also satisfy the parents. We don't have to always think about what the autistic child thinks. But sometimes Shefali was saying that 80% of them have got comorbid conditions. I still practice and I see lots of autistic children, they are hyperactive also. And hyperactivity also interferes with their learning also. They are not able to sit and see things and they are not able to learn. So we have to work on that also. We have to work on the comorbid conditions. अगर किसी बच्चे को एपिलेप्सी है तो we have to उनकी quality of life को अच्छा करने के लिए we have to give them medicines also. And also मतलब जो रक्षिता ने कहा मैं उस पर एक चीज ऐड करना चाहती हूँ कि we have to do behavior modification when the person is not studying. He is not able to learn. A 2 or 3 years old child may not understand the importance of recognizing things, but parents understand all this. So they want to, at least the child should learn all those things. He should be able to identify and recognize. So there are various treatment approaches. We have to work on them. One is behavior modification. One is, even Mary would say that ABA is very important because these days ABA is considered like a gold standard. Because we have to make him learn, so complex things have to be broken into small parts. And we have to make it more interesting for the child. He should learn in the playway methods. अगर उसके कोई सिम्टम्स हैं जिसके कारण ही इज नॉट बीइंग एक्सेप्टेड इन द सोसाइटी, जैसे हैंड फ्लैपिंग है. हर्षिता ने तो कहा था if he is undressing in public, I would say even some symptoms like hand flapping or मतलब screaming or crying, we have to stop that. We have to make things interesting for him. So we have to sometimes use educational methods. We have to use ABA, and we have to try and make him more friendly with his environment. I have learned from these children that if they are in the play school, initially they have a problem in adjusting, but gradually they are able to adjust themselves. If it is compulsory for them, they sit and interact. इसको हम लोग कहते हैं adaptation हो जाती है कि they learn how to accept other people, and they learn lots of things. And we also have to give medicines for the behaviors that are comorbid conditions like hyperactivity, epilepsy, or something else. So we have to do. आजकल चाहे एविडेंस नहीं है, फिर भी योगा helps in increasing the concentration of the child, make him sit at one place. So yoga is also very interesting, and it was also said that use of technology. If we give them some video games, sometimes the screen time is not important, but they can learn to sit in one place. We can use technology to make them do things or learn things. And sometimes there is no evidence, but we can still try Ayurveda and gluten-free food. So we have to work for the benefit that it is not changing the autistic child's brain, but his symptoms can be controlled. We have to work on that. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What Madhumita has reminded us of, and specifically me, I must confess, is that besides all this issues of mutual respect and acceptance, as Nidhi said, there is also a professional obligation that different groups of professionals carry. But according to me, Manju, as you were saying, what you were saying, that one thing that the epidemic has taught us is hybrid models, right?
Yeah.
The epidemic in multiple ways has taught us hybrid model, and so I don't see why here also we can't really have a hybrid model. As I was saying to Gaganans, the professional expertise and the obligations, as well as the user perspective. You know, I really like what has been circulated here, especially the title, Nothing About Us Without Us. I mean, I've learned from friends and colleagues like Mary and Poonam Natarajan and others that slogan of Nothing About Us Without Us. So, execution of the professional responsibilities and obligations in collaboration with the group that we are trying to help. Right? And I can think of across the field of medicine and healthcare 4 or 5 examples in the last 40 or 50 years where this is actually happening. The best example is HIV/AIDS epidemic, the other epidemic before the recent pandemic, right? It wasn't only the professional expertise, it was the PLHAs who brought pressure, who brought the perspective. Alcohol and drug abuse, mental health. So there is any number of fields where by now we need to recognize the need for hybrid model. Many things that I try and follow Mary for, and I'm very glad to have witnessed what she moderated as the first panel. I'm trying to do that, we may not have time enough for that, forgive me, but besides what all 5 of us have had to say, comments, questions, any other perspective from any of you in the house, please. Us and them, much as we don't like it. 5 of us and 40 of you. Please. So let's break those barriers also. And I must say one thing about yoga, ma'am, you had also brought it out with the talk with Shivali. Yeah, I prefer to say yoga. I've never understood why Indians have also got used to say yoga. Why Rama, Krishna, yoga? Yeah, all this. Sorry? What? So that's your thing. But okay, we'll leave it that sometime separately. But the original Sanskrit thing is yoga. Okay? mean, I think the South Indians also learned A from the British influence, but that's about it. I just wanted to say that I'm sure you will recognize, I wanted to complete that point from what Shivani and you were discussing. See, again, we make the mistake of taking yoga as one unitary idea. There's a whole lot of practices there. So one will have to be very careful, especially when it comes to persons with autism, as to what part of that you want to really use and at what stage, with the concurrence of the person for what the target is, right? Rather than passing any unitary comment like Shefali and you were discussing. But please, any comments? Please.
Right. So first I'll thank all the support and staff people who've made this event possible. Thank you for your hard work today.
We can hear you better if you give it closer.
Yeah, so this might be a little rough on some people in the room. Earlier in the day, there were some thoughts about how autistic people are alone and no one understands us. No one understands us, we're so alone. We're not alone. We have each other. There is a community and we stand together. And if we come together and assert ourselves in our neurodivergence, there is, when we're finally speaking up for our experience, our rights, our decision to what is needed to support us, to help us move through life stages, I don't think it's acceptable for the community, for the professional community to stand up and say neurodivergence isn't acceptable. My request to Sir here is, if you feel that a lot of elements resonate with you, I invite you to look into it, look into yourself, explore the idea and labels for yourself. It's an open community, we will accept you, it might support you in understanding your experiences, your life better. There are no limits. We are all for self-diagnosis. We're all for understanding our experiences better and expanding diagnosis criteria also. And to ma'am, I would like to say, sure, you were limited by the support you had to provide to the parents, but things have changed. We have spoken up. This is the chance where you get to decide if you want to change your goals and the goalposts from what was there 50 years ago and what is being said today. The behavioral interventions that you did bring up, that you did speak about, that you did do your best to try and support the people have caused harm, have caused trauma in many cases. And that also has to be mitigated, that also has to be reduced. When we say that behavioral interventions cause harm, I urge you to please read the literature that talks about the kind of harm that this can cause. Learning, education might be important, but it might not happen at the same stages, in the same pace, at the same life stages that neurotypical people live their lives at. So there is a lot of literature that exists. Nothing about us without us is not a new statement. It is a very, very old, it's a couple of decades old statement that came from the disability community. There are many other statements that are there. There are many ways in which the community is evolving. If psychology steps out of and beyond, saying we're science, we're medicine, we're science, psychiatry is such a science, and step into sociology, step into social model of disability, step into disability studies, there is a lot for us to gain here. So I would really hope that on more panels in the future, we would also see professionals who have worked more closely in these areas, specifically on autism or specifically on the theme that is being discussed, and from spaces that are also emerging within the community also, as you have done, thankfully, for providing the space for having more advocates here, for having more clinicians who work closely. I have been going to these seminars for decades, but for years. I'm 20, I can't be. Yeah, so for years, and I've been seeing lectures that go back decades. So this is new to me. This is, I didn't expect this day to go as it has gone, and I'm thankful for that. So thank you to National Trust also, but do look into all of this. Thank you. Not a question.
Yes, please. Ma'am.
I would just like to add a little to what was said by the other audience member. I feel that sometimes we also create a binary that there is the scientific community and then there's a lived experience community. And I think we often don't realize how much overlap there might be there, and that there might already be autistic researchers within the scientific community and more in the future. And I would, the way it was mentioned that there is work being done in sociology, disability studies, the neurodiversity paradigm is an emerging theoretical field of research, and which overlaps with and is interdisciplinary with a lot of very interesting fields, including the medical field. And I would really invite anyone who's interested into exploring the work of other autistic scientific researchers such as Dr. Nick Walker, Dr. Damien Milton. Secondly, I would just like to extend empathy and compassion towards what Manju ma'am said. I think when one finds oneself in a position of ethical responsibility, it might not be easy to make such decisions. Ma'am, you mentioned that parents jab aate hain, they talk about कि हमारे बच्चा शादी कर पाएगा कि नहीं, एम्प्लॉयमेंट होगा कि नहीं, स्कूल एजुकेशन ज़रूरी है, फ्रेंड्स बनाना ज़रूरी है, पेरेंट्स से डिमांड करते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स, बट आई थिंक द अंडरलाइंग इशू हियर इज these are the factors in our society that determine कि किसकी लाइफ कितनी फुलफिलिंग हो पाती है, कितना कोई आदमी पार्टिसिपेट कर पाता है और आगे तक पेरेंट्स के जाने के बाद भी थ्राइव कर पाता है, कम्युनिटी का मेंबर हो पाता है. तो ऑफ कोर्स पेरेंट्स आर कंसर्न्ड अबाउट इट, एंड आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस आर कंसर्न्ड अबाउट इट फॉर any person who's not able to participate in society. And मुझे लगता है कि आपका भी वही कंसर्न है कहीं ना कहीं. And I feel that अगर इस underlying concern को हम समझें, तो the debate might be about that perhaps हम चाहते हैं concern से, लेकिन क्या हम जो तरीके अपना रहे हैं, are they helping or are they not helping? And I feel that अब काफ़ी autistic लोग आगे बढ़ के बोल रहे हैं कि many of those methods are not helping. I think that is important.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yes, please, ma'am.
So Tarun has been listening in, so he just typed out something. I'm just going to read out what he has typed out. He's written, people hear us because now we can't be unheard anymore as our voices are growing ever louder. For autistics to live means repetitively stim. That is our human right.
You know, it's uncanny because I also didn't live through that. I might seem ancient, but I didn't live through. Anyway, I wasn't in the US, but I'm a huge ardent history fan of the racial movement and the rights movement in the US of A. And I was so reminded of that all through this last time. Tarun, perfectly in order. But I also want to throw a pebble in the pond. Not for the first time in the day, it's been referred to, but I often feel at such meetings, and please forgive me if any one of you feels sensitive or offended about this, but I often feel at these meetings that we are talking about still a very small proportion of individuals and families who have reached this position. There are millions and millions across this country and South Asia or Afro-Asia, across the globe, where none of this is still happening, or almost none of this is happening. So how are we going to ensure the upscaling of this movement that all the last 2 or 3 speakers have spoken about so eloquently? How do we make that truly, and that's where I'm referring to the American civil rights movement. Somewhere, the civil rights movement of the US not only brought about the interracial issues, but a whole lot of discrimination issues to the fore, world over. You know, for whatever good or bad. So how do we make sure that this movement that we are all party to and happy about actually grows much louder and bigger quickly. That's my pebble in the pond. Yes, please, Mary. Here.
I think that's a very, very important question. The way that we understand autism and what, Dr. Mehta also said, that was the way, that's the way autism was understood. And that's something that, and that understanding was not because anybody was thinking in a bad way, but because that is what the understanding and the environment of the time was. It's like the women's movement. At one time, our forefathers may have kept the women, stay at home, we are not going to work, not because they were bad people, but because that is where society was, and it has to evolve and change. And just like in the women's movement, it was women who came forward and started changing things. The same thing has to happen now. And I know as an organization, the work we do, our way and our understanding has shifted completely. If you see some of our early writings, they're very different from what it is now.
I was planning to ask you that.
Yeah.
Having been a witness, it has, you're right.
There's been a huge shift in our understanding. And our shift has come from listening to autistic voices. They were not Indian autistic voices. We did not know that many autistic people in India. But yes, international, we have a lot of autistic friends. Wen Lawson, Stephen Shore, what's her name? Temple Grandin, we didn't know that well, but we read her books. And there are a whole lot of other people. But yeah, a little bit of that. But there were people who came and, sorry? John Elder Robinson. So all of these people, they came and spoke, we read their books, and that is what made us realize, make this shift from autism as a disorder of communication and social understanding, etc., to realizing it's a brain that develops differently. And that is something that we will have to constantly remind ourselves, because we will also keep slipping into the old ways of thinking, and it's very easy to do that, because for many of us, we are not all of us are not interacting with autistic people every day. It is when we are interacting with them and listening to them. And when I say, and that is what we will have to do, listen to autistic voices. And when I say listen to autistic voices, including the non-speaking ones, including the minimally speaking one. My son is minimally speaking. He speaks, but he's what's called minimally speaking. They also have enough to say to understand how we can understand their communication, because we have to understand it's a different way of speaking, right? So to understand their communication and educating ourselves from that. I think that is how the shift will happen, to have more forums. So thank you so much, National Trust, for doing this and for bringing autistic voices here, and we need to do more of this.
Can I then continue with from there, Mary? And maybe with National Trust and you, we should be holding such dialogues with the professionals too. Like you've been saying since the morning, there are a few professionals here. But we need to have similar dialogues with psychiatrists, with clinical psychologists, with counseling professionals to bring about that change, right? And like Manju said, and you recognize that, some of us as individuals and teams and hospitals will have to continue to cater to some of those needs while being agents of change for the larger social processes. But really, sir, one idea is to hold such dialogues with the professional groups also, and have friends like Rakshita and our friend, what was the name, sorry? Tarun and Rakshita to be there with Mary and Nidhi, right? Okay, any other points, please? Yes. You want to say something?
I just wanted to say that today there are a lot of advocates, self-advocates who are lawyers, who are doctors, who are autistic and are perfectly able and capable to be able to contribute to teaching us, right? And it would be like you're saying, one of the ways would be, of course, forums, but also to include some of them in writing books, changing the curriculum, whether it is the RCI curriculum or the medical curriculum or anywhere else, where they are involved in making legal changes, policy documents. They should be on the board, not us, making some of these suggestions.
Sure. Yes, please, ma'am.
I want to say something. I want to reiterate that Tarun and I chose to do this, collate people's responses like this. मैं ये बोलना चाहती हूँ कि this is not रक्षिता. ये रक्षिता के बारे में नहीं है ये एक तरुण के बारे में नहीं है ये इस रूम में जितने भी ऑटिस्टिक लोग हैं उनके बारे में है इस देश में जितने भी ऑटिस्टिक लोग हैं उनके बारे में है we are just the faces that you're seeing.
Totally. Is it actually as the spokesperson for those 200 persons and more? Sure. Is that, yes, ma'am.
मुझे मंजुल मैम के जो उन्होंने बोला था कि जो ऑटिज्म होते हैं उनका जो बिहेवियर होता है जैसे कि हैंड फ्लैपिंग हो गया या और भी उन्होंने बिहेवियर्स बताए थे बट मुझे कुछ ऐड करना है इसके अंदर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर किसी भी स्टूडेंट का बिहेवियर हो रहा है और अगर वो किसी को हार्म कर रहा है या खुद को हार्म कर रहा है या उसके काम में कोई इफेक्ट कर रहा है तो तब मुझे लगता है कि हमें वो चेंज करना चाहिए बिहेवियर नहीं तो वो जैसा है उसको वैसे रहने देना चाहिए मुझे नहीं लगता कि उसे चेंज करना चाहिए और अगर उसका हैंड फ्लैपिंग टाइम अगर उसका काम करते टाइम आ रहा है तो मैं कुछ ऑल्टरनेटिव दूंगी ये नहीं है कि एकदम स्टॉप कर दूंगी कि तुम स्टॉप हो जाओ बट वो मुझे ऐसा लगता है वो एक उसका तरीका है और दूसरी चीज़ मुझे ये भी लगी कि मेडिसिन के लिए कि हाइपरनेस कम हो जाता है ऑटिज्म में और बहुत से पेरेंट और बहुत से लोग हैं जो ऑटिज्म जो होते हैं उनको मेडिसिन पे रखते हैं बट मुझे नहीं लगता कि मेडिसिन पे रहना वो एक अच्छा वो रहता है क्योंकि अगर स्टूडेंट ऑटिज्म है और वो मेडिसिन पे रह रहा है और ऐसा लगता है कि वो कुछ टाइम के लिए तो वो बंद हो गया है बिहेवियर हिटिंग करना या हाइपरनेस बट वो हमेशा के लिए बंद नहीं हुआ है उसके लिए मैं बिहेवियर स्ट्रैटेजीज यूज कर सकती हूँ वो बिहेवियर को कम करने के लिए ना कि मेडिसिन क्योंकि मेडिसिन के साइड इफेक्ट भी होते हैं और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वो मेडिसिन ना देकर एक बिहेवियर स्ट्रैटेजीज यूज करनी चाहिए कि अगर हिटिंग हुई है तो क्यों हुई है अगर हुई है तो उसके पीछे कोई ना कोई रीजन हुआ होगा तभी वो बिहेवियर स्टार्ट हुआ है या तभी वो ऐसा कर रहा है तो पहले रीजन जानना जरूरी है उसके बाद उसे चेंज करना चाहिए तो थैंक
I want to respond to that, but can I say something before that? Be sure that by now, most psychiatry or mental health teams ought to, and I think practice, not to prescribe medicines for the core situation, not for autism. For comorbidity, like Manju referred to, yes. For the gray area in between of behavioral issues related to persons with autism, yes, I agree with you individually. There's a lot of need for caution and to be very careful.
Thank you, sir. So we have this evolving concept now, what we call as quality of life. Like I early explained, that we are no longer concerned about what is happening in cross-section, whether the child is making progress or not, whether he's in a school or not, whether as an adult is employed or not. That is not what we are interested in. What we are interested in is the trajectory which the kid is following over a lifespan, and how many number of kids with autism follow that trajectory over a period of time, so that the quality of life, and by quality of life we mean that what the individual perceives themselves. See, the problem with autism is that the quality of life as perceived by the parent might be very different from what is perceived by the child. And this remains a limitation because we know that expression is one of the core limitation of people with autism, right? So this might not come to forefront. There will always be some disparity, the way the parent is perceiving the symptoms and the way the child is perceiving the symptoms. So what we got to hear today was the child or adult with autism, their perspective. That is important, and that has been adequately addressed now in studies, and we are already on that path where we are addressing and we are aware of the fact that it's different for the parent, it's different for the kid, and we have to address both.
Thank you. I'm told we have to finish. Did you have a supplementary? No. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will have just three. Yes, please. Over there.
हेलो सर.
Please.
यस सर.
Yeah. Yes, please.
सर लाइक बिहेवियर के बारे में बात हुई तो मुझे जितना मैंने ऑब्जर्व किया है विदाउट रीजन बिहेवियर नहीं होता है. मैं एक बस की बात करूँ, जैसे मेरे ट्रैवल बस में ज़्यादा होता है, तो एक इंसिडेंट है लाइक डीटीसी बस. तो उसमें मैं ट्रैवल कर रही थी एंड वन मदर एंड टॉल एंड हैंडसम बॉय एंटर करते हैं बस में, एंड बस में हाफ क्राउडेड है, मतलब सीट सारी भरी हुई हैं. तो मदर ने एक लेडी से कहा प्लीज़ सीट दे दीजिए इनको बिकॉज बॉय कांट स्पीक. सो लेडी सेड कि हट्टा कट्टा तो है, इसको सीट की क्या जरूरत है, और ये खुद भी तो बोल सकता है. एंड जस्ट अ मोमेंट एंड बॉय ने उस लेडीज का बाल पकड़ा एंड ट्विस्ट करके फिंगर में, एंड शी इज क्राइड एंड शाउटिंग. 4 लोग आए, उसके बालों को छुड़ाया, उसकी सीट तो खाली हुई, आसपास की 4 सीटें और खाली हो गई. सो जस्ट बोलना ही कम्युनिकेशन है, एंड वो चाहती थी कि वो बोल कर ही करे, लेकिन आराम से बोला गया एंड उन्होंने नहीं समझा. तो बहुत सेड की माई वे कम्युनिकेशन इज लाइक दिस. सो 4 सीटें खाली हो गई, लेकिन इट इज ऑटिस्टिक चाइल्ड. अगर दूसरा कोई डिफिकल्टी होता लाइक चलने में, देखने में, तो ऑटोमेटिकली सीट मिल जाती. लेकिन ऑटिस्ट को हम नहीं समझ पाते. अगर उस बस में कोई ऐसा होता जिसको दिखने में डिफिकल्टी है तो ऑफ कोर्स लोग ऑटोमेटिकली दे देते सीट. लेकिन ऑटिज्म का कोई लेवल नहीं दिखता है कि इनको जरूरत है.
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप. ये सारा जो रेंज है कॉल्ड इनविजिबल डिसेबिलिटीज, दैट्स एन इश्यू. श्योर सर, प्लीज. ऑफ कोर्स.
ऑटिज्म डे मना रहे थे और हमारे करीब 100 लोग विथ ऑटिज्म दे वर ट्रेवलिंग इन द मेट्रो. तो मैंने देखा कि उसमें बहुत सारे लोगों ने सीट दिया मेट्रो में बैठने के लिए, और फिर उस मेट्रो के सफ़र में कोई बूढ़े लोग चढ़े, कोई लेडी चढ़ी, हमारे बच्चे ने भी, हमारे स्टूडेंट्स ने भी वो उठ के उनको सीट ऑफर किया. तो इससे 2 वे राउंड होता है.
Very nice. Okay, before I conclude, yes, please. Yeah.
It may be the last question,
yeah,
please.
Last one, please.
Hello, sir. Basically, I'm a special educator, so I want to just share my experience. एक बच्चा था, autistic है. He was like 2 to 3 years old. So parent was very much concerned कि वो आगे क्या करेगा, कैसे करेगा, क्या होगा, क्या ये ठीक तो हो जाएगा ना. He was saying that thing. So being a counselor or a special educator, I told them कि बिल्कुल हो सकता है. You have to work on, you have to counsel, and you have to give him some speech therapy, OT and all those things. But still they were concerning about it कि मेरा बच्चा 10th तो कर लेगा, पास हो जाएगा, इस दुनिया में सरवाइव कर पाएगा, पढ़ सकता है कि नहीं पढ़ सकता है. तो सर बेसिकली मेरा कंसर्न ये है कि हमारा जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है दैट इज फॉर नॉर्मल चिल्ड्रंस, राइट, बट ऐसे बच्चों के लिए अभी तक हमने कुछ नहीं कर रखा. इफ ही इज इन 7th grade, वी आर जस्ट मेकिंग कि हाँ 17 का टेबल कर लो, 20 का टेबल कर लो. दैट्स इट व्हाट वी वांट टू मेक देम लर्न. सो हाउ ही और शी इज गोइंग टू सर्वाइव इन दिस सिनेरियो, हाउ? So that was my question.
First of all, our education system is unfortunately not even good for normal children.
I know, ma'am. That's what, like, in many of the schools.
दिखा तो यार एक बच्चा जो खुशी खुशी स्कूल जाता है पढ़ाई करने.
Right, ma'am. That is true.
Our education system.
How we can do something for that? That is what my question is. Being a teacher, being an educator, I want to
listen to the parent. Let them rant. कोई सुनने वाला है नहीं उनके पास. सब लोग सिर्फ बुराइयां करते हैं उनकी. सब लोग उन्हें दोष देते हैं.
Even some parents also like अब हम क्या करें, एकदम वो हार चुके होते हैं, हमें नहीं पता हमें क्या करना है. So like I want to motivate. I have given a like very good example. There was one series Doctor करके, he was an ESD person, I think so. आप लोगों ने देखी है नहीं? तो like
Good Doctor.
Yeah, Good Doctor.
Oh, series Good Doctor.
Series, and he was autistic. He can see things differently. He can imagine things differently, what we cannot do. So I have given that example. So they got somewhere motivated. Then afterwards, I don't know. They have not counseled me again. They have gone for speech therapy and OT. I have given that. Motivation is something necessary in today's life. But what, like in education?
Most of the times, they just want to be heard. Second, yeah, first just hear them and say, yeah, I understand. Because they really, एक ठंडक आती है दिमाग, मतलब कि कोई तो सुन रहा है हमारी बात, कोई तो समझ रहा है हमारी बात. Second, there's very little that you can do alone to change the system. So, alone what you can do is, as a teacher in your session, you have to provide choice to the child. You have to figure out what makes the child happy. अगर उसे, who says we can't do multiplication division? Tarun loves maths. I love math. There are researchers in this room who are autistic. There are lawyers in this room who are autistic. I am a teacher who is an autistic. That has nothing to do with, again, like the difficult part about autism is understanding कि हम थोड़ी areas में ना बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. अब जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि okay, I have to tell you this. हम लोगों ने पता है कैसे काम किया? ये जो मैंने आज speech पढ़ा, मेरा speech नहीं है वो लिखा हुआ. As a panelist, मुझे करना चाहिए ना, मेरा नहीं है वो. सबने साथ में किया. रात को 3 बजे तक बैठे थे हम लोग कल रात को करते हुए. और पता है कैसे किया? एक बंदा रिसर्च कर रहा है, क्योंकि they're superb in research. ये डिटेल निकाल के रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. एक बंदा, मुझे बिल्कुल नहीं समराइज करा जाता मुझसे. कितने सारे लोगों ने हमें मैसेजेस भेजे थे, उस सब में छांट के उसका मतलब समराइज करके नहीं किया गया मुझसे, किसी और ने टेक अप किया वो. That's how we work, and that's how this product is there today in front of you. That is what made us happy. किसी को नहीं बोलना पड़ा कि 3 बजे तक रुके हो, we are still energetic, because we used our strengths and it made us happy.
So we alone have to do the work.
That work with your student. Yes. Figure out what the strengths are. Most probably, you suppose, for example, the child wants to only talk about dinosaurs, only read dinosaur book, only watch YouTube dinosaur. इंग्लिश नहीं पढ़ेगा, मैथ नहीं पढ़ेगा, कुछ नहीं करेगा, सिर्फ डायनासोर देखना है. ठीक है, डायनासोर काउंट कराओ उसे, हिस्ट्री में डायनासोर लेके आओ, डायनासोर के बारे में पैराग्राफ लिखवाओ.
So he is going to excel in one thing only. Then, like, if he or she, आपने जैसे डायनासोर.
नहीं, you didn't understand my point.
Yeah. उसकी choice के according मैं उसको आगे.
That is how the autistic brain works. It picks up one thing and they will become an expert in it. 5 साल का बच्चा usually will be learning how people smile, how my mother will, किस चीज को मेरी मम्मी को गुस्सा आता है, किस चीज पे पापा को खुशी होती है. ऑटिस्टिक बच्चा डायनासोर के ऊपर रिसर्च करेगा. तो और उसको नहीं पता होगा कि मेरी मम्मी को किस चीज से खुश होती है, वो पापा किस चीज से गुस्सा होते हैं, नहीं पता होगा उसे. लोगों से हाय हेलो कैसे बोलना है नहीं पता होता, पर डायनासोर के बारे में सब कुछ जानेगा वो. Use that to teach him English, use that to teach dinosaur, use dinosaur to teach English, use dinosaur to teach maths, dinosaur to teach science.
Okay.
And you can do this at all levels, LKG, KG level to 12th standard level.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Can I just say, your difficulty is not only your difficulty is of the education that you received for special education.
So basically, yeah, that is true.
The educational paradigm of special education is a problem. Like all of education, not just what she said. See, all of us would benefit from and would have benefited from that approach of encouraging your own thing, not just for persons with autism. For them it's much more, but for all of us, any generation, that would have been a better model. But that's okay, anyway, we'll talk about it. Allow me to just make 3 comments in conclusion. One is a bigger pebble in the pond than I threw earlier. Can I say that we who believe in all that we have been saying today, to varying degrees, a 2 or 3 day event on, and please, advice and counsel is welcome, brain science driven advocacy, and somewhere merge the self-advocacy issue with the brain science, because to get across to those other groups who we haven't still got across to in the society, I think we will need, like I asked Mary, and many of us have been trying, I guess we'll have to somewhere merge the idea of drilling home the rights issue, as Sarun and everybody has been saying, and second, also the brain science basis, especially for autism and a few conditions, where I don't think general population or even health professionals realize that there's a whole lot of potential ability vis-a-vis so-called lack of ability or disability. And so please, more advice, more forthcoming participation on what I hope to do with Alok's great help, brain science driven advocacy, not just as one event in October, but as an ongoing effort. Thank you so much.
Great, sir, great. Thank you so much for opening our mind. I'll request all the panelists and sir, please come forward. And I would like to request UK Sukla sir, Navneet sir, and I know that Vasudevan sir has some knee issues. Please accept our request. Please come forward. Vaidishwaran sir. Yeah, please sir. Please sir. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. And please bring the flower pot. Everyone, please come forward. And can we see that how many self-advocates with autisms are in this room, in this hall? Please come forward. If you are the self-advocates with autism, please come forward. Can we have, यहाँ लेते ना sir, इधर. हाँ, front, यहाँ. Please come ma'am. उधर से आइए. Please, come. And I will request everyone, please be on the stage. We have the one thing to announce. I'll request Mary ma'am to please come on the stage. हो गया? Wait. Yeah. Sir को